Hello everyone, and it's time to explain. So first, we are gonna do like a mini retrospective about the update. So like we are gonna go through what went right, why did we do the things we do, and what went wrong, and we're gonna discuss that. We also wanna have like some tasty sneak peek, like something that you will only find here.
Ooh.
And at the end, then we have like some questions that I collected from the community, and I think our special guest of the day also has some questions for you. And if you are not seeing him on the screen now, please, Kairos, introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here. I'm Kairos Time. I create Brawl Stars content, if you guys don't already know. And thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Yeah, we are really excited to have you here. And I think, I don't want to praise him too much, but it might be one of the most important voices in our community. Would you say that?
I think it's fair.
Yeah.
That's a fair statement, but
Yeah.
don't
I
inflate
have
his
beautiful
ego
hair.
even more.
I have beautiful hair. Let's just
Yeah.
it's more beautiful than Kairos Tim's. We'll just say that.
And
The
besides
fake Kairos.
besides Kairos, we also have the same crew from before. Like we have Adrian, tester, game designer, Frank, game lead, and V, game designer. Like you don't need to introduce yourselves again.
That makes sense.
Wow.
And
Go
we-
watch the last episode.
And Danny.
I
Yeah.
feel hurt.
Yes. So, with this whole intro, do you maybe want to comment like one overall thought of the update, or should we go bit by bit?
Well, are you good with me asking a quick question? I just
Sure.
to start up
Sure.
with Bling. So Bling gives access to all sorts of cosmetic content that players just did not have access to before. Okay, and that's really, personally, I love it. It's exciting. It's fun. Free-to-play players can unlock pretty much everything that they want to, with a very few exceptions. I would kind of like to hear why you decided to open up the economy so wide to so many creators when a lot of other game developers from different games are restricting more and more content from their free-to-play players.
That's a big question. That's a really big question. There's a bunch of reasons around this, actually. To beginning, I'd argue like we always had this problem with our star point economy. Take that as a starting point. When we introduced star points, and that's really long ago, actually, we had the issue that it came with a need to produce content along those star points. Right? In the beginning, we just actually, I'm not sure how many people remember that, but in the very beginning, there was just skins. There was nothing else you could buy for star points. And then there was community feedback, and we took that into consideration, even back then. And we changed it so that you can buy a limited amount of boxes, back then mega boxes, big boxes, every few weeks. And then every now and then we created some more skins to go along with this new system back then. But we've really ended up like, yeah, we whenever we created the skin, we ended up in a situation where we had to ask ourselves the question, are we doing this for gems so we can monetize it? Or are we creating it for star points that does something we don't actually really know what it does? Does it create more engagement when people can buy a skin for star points? And if you take it a step back and you think about skin production, is each skin, depending on the effort we're putting in, cost X USD. Right? That's a very like cold business-like perspective.
Sure.
But there's a cost to produce a skin. And of course you want to have a payback. And let's assume you create a 149 gem skin, and you're like, okay, to make this work, this needs to sell X amount of skins for gems, and those gems need to be paid gems, because else we are not getting anything out of it, right? So, and then you do the same and you create a skin for Starpoint which has the same value proposition, but you're selling it for nothing, right? That also needs to somehow come back. And this coming back is then like, do players retain longer? Are they creating an appetite for skins and then they start to buy other skins? Or does it do nothing? And I think we pretty quickly saw that it didn't actually have a huge positive impact on our skin economy to do this. So more often than not, we were like, oh yeah, let's, one of the skins, just like as a token gesture almost, let's put one skin there. And
eventually it just became the Power League. That's pretty much all
Yeah.
it was just a Power
exactly.
League skin.
And that was actually quite a nice solution to this problem. Because that meant for the majority of players, I know there's this 0.01% of our player base which have always way too many star points and had too many star points in the past. But this is, you have to understand, this is a complete outlier. It's really not a normal situation for anyone. Nobody in the team, for example, was in this situation. It took me like, I don't know, I guess by our definition, I'm on the lower end hardcore. And I maybe, when we did the transition from star points to Bling, I had maybe 100,000 star points saved up. And there were like...
more than I had.
And then there were like a few hundred players out of 10th of millions who had, like significantly over 500,000 or so star points. But it's a complete outlier. So for most people, having this 25,000 star points again every season made a lot of sense. And it worked really well, and it was kind of in balance. But for some people, their balance, also the way we designed it, just kept creeping up. And that was an issue. It was an issue because community, especially the loud guys, for them it was like, oh, we need to, you need to give us something we can buy for star points. And a lot of other people were like, oh, it's pretty lame. We can only buy this one skin every season or so. Yeah, not a great solution. And then when we started thinking about it more, we thought like, could we actually open up most of the skins for Bling? And instead of controlling what you can buy, have better control over the amount of income people have. Because that was always the fear, right? If we give too much free stuff, the game doesn't become sustainable anymore. So if we
and then we don't get Brawl anymore.
And exactly. So this is all about sustainability in the long run, right? We want this game to be long term. And in order to do so, we need to monetize it. So how can we find the sweet spot where we give, free stuff to people and more choice, while at the same time making sure that we are still sustainable? And this is the balance we found. And then we thought like, okay, previously people got like 6 Power League skins per year. We are not creating new skins, so that is kind of the hard cap for people actually what to do with star points. So more than 150,000 star points would do nothing for you. It would just increase your balance, but it would do nothing. So instead so we discussed like a hardcore player, how much should they get? And we said 8. 6 skins they get already plus 2. And that's 149 gem skins. Or the equivalent of that. And it felt like a really nice balance to have there. Again, understanding that most people do not or did not get in the past 25,000 star points per season. That's already, you are smaller than top 5% of our player base. So it felt like the best solution out of all to kind of give people more choice while controlling how much people can actually buy, so we're not screwing our economy over. And here we are.
Well, how does the team feel about it now then? Like, it's in retrospect, was it the right decision? Is it kind of causing any issues with how much revenue is actually coming in, or is it good?
We don't know yet.
Oh, okay. So these things take more time than people think that they do.
Yeah, like we expected before we released this update, with the introduction of the catalog as well, we expected that a lot of people will go and start buying the skins they always wanted, or the pins they always wanted, or whatever it is. Because in the past you were like reliant on luck that it showed up in your store, or that you had a pin pack where it was included or whatnot. And since we removed this barrier, so you just imagine in the past, you unlocked a brawler you really wanted, but no skin for this brawler is in the shop. And then, back then when we had 25 skins, having the skin rotation, that made a lot of sense because you waited maybe a week to see that skin you wanted. But now we have hundreds of skins in the game, which means, it might never show up.
And that's how it felt.
and that's how it felt. So by removing this barrier, we, of course, that means that people who want to pay for content, now they unlock the brawler they want, and then they can just go to the catalog to buy the skin, the pin, whatever they want for this brawler, right? And we expected that this will increase temporarily, at least, the revenue from cosmetic content. And because of this effect, which we expected, it's impossible to tell yet if this whole thing pays off or not, if it works or not. But yeah, I guess community sentiment-wise, that's of course was a really positive for us.
Yeah.
And the majority of people, of course, like the system. I know that some people were like, I mean, Danny can talk more about the community sentiment.
Yeah, I guess like the thing is that as Frank said, like before they were getting 6 from Power League, right? The hardcore players, and now they're getting more. It's like regardless, like if you think like the skins got the price of the skins is more expensive than before, where we are getting more overall. It's like but I think the problem is that it's hard to visualize, right? I think it's hard to feel that you are getting more because it's like to the course of a year. And then I think like the puzzle that we're always trying to figure out is like we have like this budget of Bling that you can deliver in 1 year. What is the exact cadence that will make you feel that you are progressing towards, and then you feel that every time you get Bling, it's meaningful, right? Because now we have like the trophy reset, which gives like very little, but like of course it's like the precursor of the year. And then there's Power League, and then we did some challenge just like to promote the feature as we released it. But then like what is the actual number, or like what is the cadence that you make like meaningful for every time you get Bling? You're like, yeah, I'm excited, I'm progressing. Like it's very hard to tell because it could be like, I don't know, is it 2 but it's every day? It's like 100 but every week. Like how can we really find this unicorn number, especially because like there are so many sources of Bling? So I guess that's really like we're tweaking, and like once you find the sweet spot, I guess that's how we are keeping it. But overall, like Bling for the community, it is like a really nice feature because basically you can get the skin you want for free, right? And
pins. Before, if you had a specific brawler you wanted to get pins for, you couldn't choose. You just open up a pin pack, and then it's like one of 300 pins that you might be able to get, and hopefully it's that one that you want.
Yeah.
So now you can just go to Mortis and be like, just grabbing all of Mortis's pins because I like Mortis, right?
Yeah, and I think also like one of the arguments of like why we believed ping was like the right call is because before, when we have like Brawl Talk or like we're promoting the update, this section of the update is only for 5% of the players, right? Skins, like because you see the skin being released and like, I'll never get that, I'll never pay for this. Like I would rather buy the Brawl Pass because like that's a clear offer that you should buy if you have like very little money or very little opportunity to purchase something. And then with Bling, it's like you see the skins, like I can buy this unless it's a legendary or a mythic, but you give like such a huge tool to promote the update, right? Now this part of the update is interesting for everyone. So that's like the payoff that we want to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, when you think about it, for a majority of the players, it goes from I can never get this to I can get this.
Yes.
And that's a big change.
Yeah, that's huge.
Change.
Oh, wait,
also,
I
with
think
the Brawl Pass, now you have Bling that you can just, like, you're no longer forced to get the skin that came in the Brawl Pass. You can get whatever skin you want. So even more choice, which is awesome.
And that's also a win-win there, actually.
Yeah.
Because in the past, we always had to ask ourselves the question, okay, we only have so many low-rarity brawlers for introducing skins. And
because you used to get the Brawler too,
because
right?
you used to get the Brawler, which is, of course...
So what you're saying is you had to release skins that were low-rarity brawlers because not everybody had, like, you know, Leon. You couldn't do a skin for Leon in the Brawl Pass because of that.
Correct, yeah. And now, this is kind of a win-win. We're kind of... If you just want the same experience you had in the past, you can just, on day one of the Brawl Pass, you get the Brawl Pass, you get the Bling currency to buy the skin we release on day one, and then, you have the same experience you had before. But if you don't like that skin, buy something else for it.
But the funny thing is that I saw some complaints about this, and then of course like we read everything and we feel that every feedback's important, but dude, like because they're like, oh, it's not like the same feeling, I'm buying this pass but doesn't feel like it belongs to the pass, like. But that's the kind of feedback like, yeah, maybe like it's better for like 99% of the people, so we are fine not addressing your concern.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a fine balance. This whole, there was this whole conversation about the increased prices for some skins or whatnot. But when we did this exercise, also changing the price, because the prices for Star Point things were completely whack before. Okay, there was
they were.
no real structure to it, no real logic. So we fixed that. But at the same time, people of course feel like, the skin is now twice the price. Okay, I understand it. If you're transitioning from the old world into the new world, there's this awkward moment that, I could just buy the skin for 25,000 Star Points, and now it's 5,000 Bling. So this awkward moment is there, but looking forward, right? It's much clearer for everyone, and at the same time, we didn't take away the any amount of skins you could get. In fact, we increased it from 6 to 8, and so for us, we focused on what do you get, not or what can you possibly unlock, not necessarily what is the price tag for that, because it doesn't matter as long as we give you the currency to get that stuff.
Yeah.
And yes, if you're playing today and you're hardcore like you were before, you had to be hardcore to unlock those 6 skins before, right? If you're hardcore like that, then today you will get enough to get these 6 skins plus 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess can I put you on the spot, V? Because I know you had some concerns.
Yeah. Actually, I was gonna speak up about this. I think like one of the hard things about this, putting Bling in that was certainly brought up during development was, cosmetics fundamentally do not have a gameplay impact. And as you know, we've had cosmetics from the very early days of the game. And so there is some part of me that is asking the question, well, if skins are now kind of very free-to-play friendly, like most of our skins are purchasable with this currency, in some regard, I wonder if the people who bought them with gems, particularly recently, I guess, whether they still feel their value has been preserved. Because part of the reason people buy skins is to show off. They show off to other people. They say, hey, I like this game so much and this skin so much that I was willing to spend money on this. And we do lose some of that. And cosmetics, fundamentally, like we said, are show-off pieces in a lot of ways. Whether it's showing off that you really like a particular skin, whether it was you had to really work hard to earn one, such as through the Power League system. And that is also, we need to consider respecting those players for spending the time and effort as well as the money to actually get those. And so we don't, obviously this is still only about a month in. We'll see how things turn out from a metric standpoint, but it is something that philosophically I wonder about.
And that was also one of the reasons why we decided to not only have tiers of skins, which are like, we had legendary skins, right, the 299 gem skins, which we decided from the get-go, no, here we have to draw the line somewhere, and this is where the line is. And these skins are really for people, depending on the type of skins you have, there's a different percentage of the gems which monetize actually. Like, for example, 30 gem skins, or 29 gem skins these days, the percentage of free gems behind those is really high.
That makes sense.
So just imagine, I'm making this number up, okay, but it's in a ballpark, 80% free gems, 20% paid gems for 30 gem skins. For 299 gem skins, it's almost like it's more than the reverse, okay? So the vast majority is paid gems, because these are people, no free-to-play player essentially is ever buying a 299 gem skins for gems.
Yeah, you got to save up for 4 seasons. That's 8 months of saving up gems for one skin. It's not worth it when you have the Brawl Pass.
Yeah, it's absolutely not.
Yeah.
So for us, we wanted to preserve the feeling there that, okay, you really help us. Those skins are the most valuable skins in the game. You help us running the game. We protect your purchase in a way. And then we for a while, actually, while we only introduced the 199 gem skins now, we're actually toying with that idea for a long time already. Because we always had the skin this is a really, really cool skin. We're putting a lot of effort in. It's not quite a legendary. It doesn't have custom VO or anything like this. But everything else it's legendary, And when we did this whole transition and also introduced rarities, it just felt like, oh, this is the right moment to do it. And then
I
also,
would agree with that.
you know,
I'm
proactively.
actually impressed or surprised that you guys didn't increase some of the tiers that were already in the, or some of the skins that were already in the game, like Ice Queen Amber. She absolutely could have been one. I don't want to put ideas in your mind. Don't change it now.
We
But
like
there were
money.
some skins that I was like, you know what? I could have seen them doing that, and I don't know that I could have complained about it. Like, hey, buy her now because she's going to cost more afterwards. That would have been fine with me. But you're right. There were some skins that that 199 tier. It honestly feels natural. I think that's good. V, to kind of respond to some of your question or some of your concerns. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I do spend more money on the game than most people do. And maybe I'm not the actual right person because I just buy everything. You know, I don't pick that one skin, but I do think that having that mythic and that legendary rarity is really good there. And you know, also just from the game's perspective, I like the fact that we're gonna start seeing more skins in the game more frequently, and I think that overall skins will be more celebrated as opposed to being like, oh, that guy's a gemmer, like, oh, I lost to him probably because he spent money on the game, you know, and now it's like, oh, that could just be some dude that just saved up his bling for a specific skin. So I think it's exciting. Might even encourage more spending. I don't actually know if that's actually the case though.
Yeah, that goes a little bit back to what Donny was saying about, like, in the past, whenever we made the effort to produce these cool skins, and even in Brawl Talk, we're talking about these skins, and on social media, we're talking about every skin release, and all of that effort went into, essentially, we did it for like less than 5% of our player base.
Yeah.
And now it's a cool moment for everyone in the game when we release a new skin. Yes, I know there's still the blackout period. Again, it has to do with like balancing the needs of our players versus our own.
You mean a 2-week period that they're not able to purchase the skin with bling?
Exactly. This is, again, is like, to V's point, like, to preserve a moment for people who really want to show off. Here's your moment, and that's fine. You know, like, to be honest, I'm totally in this camp. It's like there's only skins for brawlers I'm rarely using, where I'm like waiting those 2 weeks. Like the 30 gem skins now, for example. I just was like, oh yeah, you know, I really don't need this because I have other skins, but I want it for my collection.
Yes.
So I buy it a little bit later for bling. I think this, but everything else I'm buying directly for money.
Yeah, and I think like it was one of the feedbacks you gave on the 100% review, right, Kairos, that you said like maybe the 2-week period is too long, but I guess like our argument against it is like what we did is something incredibly risky. Like we pick like our monetization exclusive content and we slash 80%. Now it's for everyone for free. It's like to have like this little 2-week period. I think it's something that
acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it's too long.
annoying.
Maybe
But
it's
it's fair.
Yeah. It's also it's a
annoying
scheme, right?
for me as a spender who like I have bling and I want to spend it on, and so I'm sitting there like I could just buy this skin or I could wait 2 weeks. Like I don't want to wait 2 weeks. Like the skin should already be mine. I already have the bling for it. So it is annoying, but I will give that to you. I recognize the decision behind it, and it does make sense. And you're right. What you decided to do was very risky to completely open up all of the, you know, the cosmetics that were not available to free-to-play players. I think more people are going to be happy with the 2-week period than are going to be upset about it.
Yeah. And I think also, I forgot what I was going to say, so move on.
Sorry.
We talked a lot about bling as well. Maybe we should talk about something else.
I guess overall, Blink was a nice thing. What would be like the real concerns? Like maybe the blackout period was something. Maybe the distribution is a problem that we need to solve still.
Well, I think that a lot of people, and you guys did already kind of touch on this, is that the Power League skins there's a lot of requirement for the Power League skin. You have to get 60 wins. That's on top of, 60 wins throughout the season. That doesn't sound bad because literally it's just 1 win every day. That's all you have to do. And if you win twice on a day, then you don't have to play the next day. It's not hard, but most players don't play like that.
Yeah.
They either grind it out right at the very beginning or grind it out right at the very end, and that's really frustrating because on top of that, those 60 wins, they also have to do daily quests, club league, they have map maker, special events, and a lot of different ways that they're wanting to spend their time on the game, and doing that is a big time requirement. And then on top of that, the price was increased from 25,000 star points, which is the equivalent of 2,500 bling, up to 5,000 bling, which is twice that amount. And so you know, you already kind of addressed these concerns, but how does the team feel about the seasonal Power League skin at the moment? Because for me personally, as a gemmer, I would be fine if you could just buy it immediately with or without the Power League's wins, and then have a discount. So if you get the 60 wins, then it gets discounted a little bit. But you've already talked about how this whole Bling concept was around the pro players previously getting 6 skins and now getting 8. So like this would essentially double that from 6 to 12, which is more than you balance it around. So what are your concerns?
Yeah, that part, you touched on it. Again, we didn't think of it as in a way that like, what is the influx of currency? We just changed the whole calculation and looked at it from what do players actually get.
So you weren't looking at the number of Bling. You were just looking, we want to go from 6 skins per year to 8 skins per year.
That's right.
And 50,000 or 5,000 Bling just happened to coincide with that 8 skins per year.
Yeah, this whole calculation again was, as I touched on as well, the economy for star points was whack. There was no, if you looked at the different skin tiers and the price, it did not make sense. And it was not in line with everything else. And the moment, first we started with how many skins do we want to give for free? That was the first question we asked, actually. Not what is the underlying currency, should we rebalance things? No. It was, what is the amount of free skins we can give to all players if they're really, really engaged? And we ended up with the number 8. And there was different numbers in the room, There was like, maybe 3. Or maybe 12. And we argued about this quite a bit, actually.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
So people pulling in different directions. And the 8 was a compromise. It felt like, okay, people already get 6, essentially, if they're hardcore, right? Those are the 6 public ones. So let's give everyone a little bit more. And that was the number 8. It's like, it felt like a really good step in the right direction. Again, this pricing and this change from this doubling the price for the Power League skin, it's in my head, it's almost a little bit of an obscure argument. I know emotionally it feels like that.
Yeah.
But practically speaking, people are getting more. And so for me, like, we cannot just half the price or give a discount when you play through it, because again, it throws a whole economy whack again. It would in fact, it doesn't work. Financially, it just does not work.
Right.
And so we cannot, or I see a similar argument when people say, just give more Bling. No, we cannot just give more
That's
Bling.
another issue, yeah.
It's doing the same. Like, we ended up with 8 as the number. So whatever we do, this number will unlikely change. I mean, we have to look at the data, of course. To be honest, it could go either way. We could end up saying, we can be a bit more generous. Or we can say, no, we need to be a bit more stingy. And of course, that is never a nice conversation with the community to say, look, guys, we're taking something away. We're actually going back to 6.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I don't want to be an asshole, but it's a potential reality we need to look at.
Well,
because,
you're not saying that because you want to be mean or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's the fact that the game needs to be sustainable long term, and if it's not, then you can't keep developing the game, and then we no longer get Brawl Stars.
Exactly.
And so that's what you're saying. We need to preserve the game. That's the number one concern. And if you can give away free cosmetics along the way and it still makes sense, you want to. Because that's fun and exciting and gets people hyped about the game. So I think that people understand that. I just think that it's easy for them to lose sight of that.
Yeah. And if you fast forward a year from now, the amount of people who will still think in terms of, doubled the price, that will, if you just join the game today, the majority of people who will play next year started today. They didn't start before the changes. They started today. So in a year from now, these people will grow up with we get 8 free skins. And that's it. And they don't care. And it's again, this whole star point argument is it's whack, because we also gave so many star points which were essentially meaningless. And people also realized that, right? They realized, great, I'm getting star points from this challenge, but it doesn't do anything because I cannot buy anything for it. because when we introduced them, we didn't do a good enough job with the economy and making sure that this is sustainable and we actually can produce the content.
Mhm.
There were a few other conversations as part of that, like, and that was even before Power League, when it was still Power Play, that the top 100 player on Earth got a ginormous amount of stuff.
Yeah, that was
Like, it's like philosophically
insane.
it was a nice idea, but practically speaking, it created more and more skewed economy of star points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the reasons I love this podcast format is because a lot of people in the community don't necessarily understand the day-to-day of what game developers do. There's gap of knowledge between what people see and perceive and the day-to-day decisions we have to make in order to arrive at those. And when the gap kind of exists, people might call us names. They might speak ill will of us because they don't understand. And also, it's really hard for us to explain everything because we only have so much time. Like, we have to develop the game. And, this is one of those things where it's like, well, when we're tuning the economy, what is the right number we should be tuning for? Well, it's not that everybody just gets everything for free. Okay, so we know that extreme. And it's not that they get nothing. So it's somewhere in the middle, and that middle thing is really hard to hammer in on. We debate, and you should see the spreadsheets where we go back and forth as to what is the right, model, what is the right assumptions, what do people feel they should get versus what they actually get. And there's not only like a numerical number that we look to, because we have to actually put that number in, but the players don't necessarily look at the actual physical numbers. They go off a feel.
Yeah.
And so in order to get that feel to overlap, this is where kind of art meets science. And maybe this is the reason I love working in game development personally, is that how do we get there? And every day is kind of like maybe a new challenge. And this is just one of those things where it's like, hey, if we tune it to be too stingy, we'll assess it and we'll change it. But when people say, they were just trying to be greedy, therefore they do this, at least understand that is not our intention with this. We're trying to get to the right balance.
Yeah. You should see the message I sent to V. Like, V, if you do this, the community is gonna burn us alive.
It's true.
Then be like, okay,
I've sent
I'll
messages
try
like
to
that to V as well. Just kidding.
Kairos has sent me these paragraph responses as a result of like a
only do
one-liner.
paragraphs.
I ask him one line, and he goes, I started typing something,
Yeah,
and I
once
guess I
upon a
typed a
time-
paragraph, so here you get my math, and he just goes boom, and I'm like spending like half an hour just processing what he's saying. And most of the time I appreciate, actually all the time I appreciate it, because I know that you're very passionate and you wanna do right by the community and to the game. And so, it's just a matter of reconciling that properly.
It's still a half an hour that I took away from your life.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
But okay,
that's
I guess we can move on. That's,
Bling is like but overall we're happy with Bling.
Yes.
I think that's
Yeah.
it's like I rate Bling 9 out of 10.
Bling's awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. I like to hear that. That's fantastic.
Can you hear this sound, Kairos?
Oh no, I can't hear that.
Ah.
But that's I imagine you did something hilarious. there.
You'll be surprised.
You'll be
If you
surprised.
yeah,
Yeah,
just
under
watch it
recording.
in
for
post.
this one moment. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
So I guess we can
So
talk.
I don't know if you want to talk about the trophy reset and Power League reset. I mean, that's really closely associated with Bling, but I think that a lot of people do have strong feelings about Trophy League reset and Power League reset. And so how's the team feeling about it? I don't have a specific question. You guys started with a 2-week reset. It was clear that the things weren't feeling exactly how people wanted it to be, and so you bumped it to a 1-month reset.
Yeah.
And how are you feeling now?
I want Frank. I want Frank to say it first because I'm gonna disagree with. I'm gonna disagree live.
So Frank's already on the defense.
Yeah,
now.
go
This is
ahead,
great.
Frank.
Well, originally it was mostly we were mostly coming from a point where there are two pieces to it. It was the one piece is limiting the amount of brawlers, and the other piece is the cadence of when it resets. And we felt like we have a lot of short-term goals now in the game, where you're like,
I like that.
we have a bunch of small things in the game which are like, today, I'm playing a little bit, I'm unlocking another Brawl Pass here. I'm playing a few days, I'm getting a mastery level, stuff like that. And then we have
Hey, I'm really close to my next Bling skin, so I'm going to push my trophies up so that I can get that skin.
And then in the past we had this 2-month cadence of the Power League, which was mostly then built about this big reward, even though now we removed it also to smaller milestones, so that you get the reward right away when you hit a new Power League tier. And then last but not least, so these things, like, it's nice to have these little goals you can work towards too, right? And then we wanted to have like a midterm goal, which is not quite the length of a Brawl Pass like it was in the past. So then we thought, okay, let's just have a more frequent reset. Actually, quite a few people asked for that before already. So let's transition to that. And somewhat arbitrary, we decided to go with 2 weeks. Because I'm sure you remember the times when it was weekly. So it felt like, weekly is definitely too fast. But maybe bi-weekly is good enough. And then we had the conversation about, we keep adding more brawlers. If we keep resetting all those brawlers all the time, it becomes harder and harder and harder and harder as we introduce new brawlers. So going away from this was then, okay, let's also reset less brawlers. And let's just focus on number X. And after talking to our data science team, we ended up with a number 20. That felt like a reasonable amount of brawlers to push in a 2-week period. And at the same time, then we changed the reset table as well. Of course, we removed some tiers. We tried to simplify it, actually. That was the intent. Make it simpler, more clear, change the reset thresholds a little. Well, and then we ran with it for 1 season, 2 weeks. And we quickly realized that, no, this doesn't work. And then we adjusted immediately almost. Actually, we're still in the 2nd season now.
Which I will say, Brawl Stars I feel like this is a really smart decision on the team's part, is to not like really quickly backtrack and change things immediately as soon as he's noticed, because sometimes things are fine over time.
Yeah.
And so for you guys to like immediately go back and change it within the middle of the update, to me, I was like, it's clear that things aren't hitting things well. And, really props to the team for making that change, because it just didn't feel quite right. I don't know, because I like the 2-week reset, but there were issues. So sorry for interrupting.
No.
It's good on the team.
It's one of these things where I actually I think we realized something as part of this process. There's 2 very distinctive group of people. There's almost everyone, and then there's, again, a small group of the top 1% of our player base or so. And they would like things to be more hardcore. But the majority of our players are not hardcore. And so that leads to the situation where sometimes it's we have to we're listening a lot. We're reading a lot of posts, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube comments, people on Slack from the creator group, trying to, concile all that feedback and try to do something with it. But at the end of the day, the majority of our players are not that group. And they feel the game very differently. And even myself, in this first season, I was like, hell, this is stressful. I don't have that much time to play right now. Yeah. And now the reset is so harsh and the reward doesn't feel great. And it just felt bad for us internally as well. And of course, the players reflected that on social media. And then I made this post on Twitter about it, and people gave their comments, which was, to be honest, pretty much in line with what we were thinking. And then it was just clear, like, we need to make this more casual friendly, while at the same time keeping the spirit of this alive. And so we changed it to 4 weeks, went down to 10 brawlers, so to make it much more maintainable for people to actually, and change the reset table to just 1 trophy under your previous trophy threshold. And we reintroduced these smaller tiers as well. And as a result of that, now it's much easier for casual player to actually maintain their trophies and push some of these other brawlers up in the trophies if they wanted to build their total trophies higher. It also had an added side benefit. I know for some people it's still not enough, but we talked about Bling already. We basically quadrupled the amount of Bling you get per brawler as a result of this change. So the minimum amount of Bling doesn't change, meaningful, except that it's now much easier to get there, and the high-end amount doesn't change, and it's also getting much easier to get there.
Well,
But-
and there are some players, depending on where their trophies are, they
Yeah.
might be getting just a little bit now, but over time they will get into higher ranks, and in
Correct.
the long run they'll be earning more bling. And
That's
so
that's the idea.
some people were calling it a scam. They were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm getting less bling." I was like, "Just wait, just a month, okay?
But-
just wait."
But
You're
waiting's
good."
no fun, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
But
That's
I
true.
think that's my counter argument. Like, and I think we had 3 problems, right? It was too many brawlers for 2 weeks. It was the trophy that we were losing. It was too much, and the bling amount. When you see like I got 100 bling for 2 weeks, it doesn't feel great, right? So I think we addressed 2 of the problems, which is the brawlers and the trophies. But the amount will still be bad, and I feel like everything we've done, it will be they wouldn't what do you say?
it will be overshadowed.
Yeah, exactly. And then they wouldn't care about the change. And like, even if you say like, yeah, now it's easier to push, so you can actually get more if you like put the effort. This is not a clear math, right? So I think like for me, what I would try to do is to make a very simple math that they can see, compare before to after, and then they'll see, oh, so there's a clear benefit. Now they are focusing on the value, which is like the end goal of the trophy reset, and they will think it's bad. Now, of course, now I'm calling it out. I'm sure people are like, Danny said, so I'm agreeing with Danny. But like maybe skip that part of the podcast and tell me your honest feedback afterwards. But I think that's what's gonna happen. Like, the change is good. Like, I would say it's better for the players overall, but it wouldn't be perceived as good because you are getting less, and then it will be overshadowing everything. So that's my tiny disagreement. And I think it shows also that we don't need to be like 100% aligned all the time. Like, we are aligned as a team, like what the goal we want to achieve, but we have like many different opinions when they're developing everything.
Yeah, just kind of piggyback on that. Actually, I think this trophy is a great example of a thing where everyone is aligned. The community is pretty much aligned. The entire team is aligned, and that's quite rare. Like that it happens that easily, because as we've talked about, like there's many times where we go back and forth on issues endlessly. It might seem, because everyone's really passionate about things. But this one, it was clear. Everyone in the team was like, "I'm getting so little, and my brawlers trophies, I have none left." And it's like, yeah, it was. Same,
no, but this
separate
is still
thing.
gonna happen.
Yeah, but it's like it's different, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. But we were all aligned.
Yeah, there's like I think you touched on that in maybe your review as well, but there's this long term, I believe, it's like we're not actively working on something right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So to set an expectation.
This
But-
is just a concept, an
but-
idea you're talking about.
But long term, it's not like we are super happy with how the structure between Trophy Road, Power League, quests, all of this, how this plays together today. We feel these systems are all somewhat isolated, and we don't like that. And the trophy reset is one dimension of that. But it's like there's in game development, like often what you're discussing, like, so you're discussing about the risk level of certain features, if they will be successful or not. Sometimes you see like an easy improvement, which is a very clear improvement for you and the players.
Mm.
And then sometimes you're like, here's this bigger thing we have, let's say Club League. And we are not happy with Club League. So what are we doing with this information? So are we just reworking the whole Club League thing? I can tell you, like, the effort of doing something like that is probably, it's 2 to 3 update cycles, half of the team working on this. That's a lot of time investment and investment from the development side into making a change which we don't know if it will work.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of almost like a Hail Mary to do something like that. While at the same time we could use this time and make smaller incremental improvements to multiple systems, which will have a better impact for the game and the players. So it's like it's a really tricky thing. So when we're talking about, right now the trophy changes we made, it's a band-aid. It's not the final product, but it's a fix which will get us there until we have a better answer to what it is we want to do, because I think we all have a bigger rework in mind, and it might come in pieces, not in one big thing. But yeah, we are all not super fond of the current situation with trophies, trophy reset, Power League on the other side, Club League over here, quests and Brawl Pass. So things there have to change to make this. It's also a lot of systems which do very similar things, which is like added complexity for our players and all of that stuff. Where we, over the years, we introduced so many systems that the game became quite complex. When you're a new player coming into the game, and it's like so easy to get overwhelmed. It really is like, and that's the feedback we're getting from. There's a concept. Maybe if you're listening into game dev conversation the first time, there's a concept called, it's a user study. So what game developers do regularly, we basically give people who never played the game like a device with Brawl Stars and let them play for time X under supervised circumstances. So let's say for 2 weeks. So we have 20, 50, 100 people knowing where they are from. So we have, they're all, for example, Americans aged around 20 years old. And we can then get their feedback and compare it against our players or existing players. And so you can draw conclusions from that. And you're usually testing specific systems or ideas and then see what's coming out of it. Where was I going with this?
You tell me.
I'm really excited to see where this goes.
No,
You're going.
I think what you're trying to say is that based on that, you can tell that players, particularly new players, are looking at that and they're saying, I don't understand what this does. Perhaps it wasn't explained that well. Perhaps there's too much information presented in front of them. And so you kind of get this kind of overwhelming amounts of information. And so we actually try to gate some of this so that you don't get to see all of it at once. By the way, it's the same problem for players who come back to the game after not playing for a while.
Yes.
We call those win-back players. You're also managing that. So at any given point in Brawl Stars, there's all these different players with different motivations, different amounts of time played, different levels of commitment to the game, and you're trying your best. You're juggling kind of these balls in the air or spinning these plates, and you're trying to keep them all from breaking. And a lot of the times, certain ones might be closer to breaking, and it's a ruthless task of prioritization to figure out what's the next bet. Where should that next bet be? Whether that's working on a new feature or improving upon existing features.
But also, I think what to link to what Frank was saying, because like when you say like Power League has some issues or Club League has some issues, like let's fix it or let's improve it, like. Maybe the solution is an overall economical system, right? Because like it's not like isolated just Power League. Maybe the problem is because there are so many systems that you don't make this interesting one so interesting. So maybe the solution would be like to unify all of them or something like that. So that's just show like how complex one solution or one concept could be. It's not like Power League has a problem, let's fix Power League. It's not exactly like that. So like it gives you like
maybe
it's a bit deeper.
So what you're saying is basically scrap Power League, Trophy League, Club League, everything.
Trophy League until 1 million trophies.
And do a new system that has it all together, just like as an idea, not actually what you guys are planning on doing, which is a concept. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like I did a stream recently with Ash, and we just talked about the state of the game for 3.5 hours. That's what we did the whole time. And I think all of our feedback literally just came to one single point was, I just wish the team had more time. Because you guys are already thinking about these things. You already know the issues that we have with all of these individual systems. And the problem is if you spend a lot of time to develop Power League and come out with a new Power League, then we don't get something new. And that makes the game feel boring if we don't get a new thing,
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's the same thing for a lot of features, right? Like, let's take brawlers and star powers and gadgets and all of these things. There's a lot of legacy, for example, gadgets and star powers, or even brawler mechanics even, that would love to address. We would love to address all of them. We have a big list of things to do. But the people that have to make those changes are the same people, for example, making new brawlers, new mechanics, new gears. So we have to prioritize quite significantly whenever we want to do something, and that's why you see, for example, maybe a few mechanical changes with each update instead of a whole list of every star power ever, because that's just not feasible.
And I think Kairos made like a really good summary. Like if we had more time, right? I think people also had to take into account that this is our jobs. It's like we are not working 24 hours because we have like families. We have to go home at some
We
point.
don't want you to either.
Yeah, at some point we do. And then like you don't, if you go to a shop and the shop is closed, you don't demand like, I wish this is open. I want this product right now. But like for games, people don't have this perception. If something is broken on a Sunday night, like you shouldn't expect that it will be fixed like right away, because there's probably the server guy is sleeping or whatever. It's like this, I think this is a service and it's a work like any other work. It's like this should be taken into account when like you demand changes or anything. It's just like, of course, like you can express your opinion about anything you want, but like sometimes it triggers me when they demand speed, where we already like work overtime. Sometimes we work on weekends, and you see me on Twitter interacting, and like I'm doing it because I like, but it's also work, right? It's not like I don't know. I have so much fun. I'll be here like spending my whole Saturday answering everyone. Yeah, arguing on Twitter. Yeah, exactly.
But also, we are.
It's my favorite hobby. I'm not what you're talking about.
Well, arguing is
Well,
fun.
I love the interview that was on that channel with Frank. They just did a whole awesome podcast pretty much with Frank and talked about it, and he talked over and over again about how Ryan was terrified that you wanted to be public on Twitter.
he was like,
Still is.
he still is. Yeah, Danny as well.
No, I inherited this fear.
It's a all community managers are afraid of this. Game developers themselves on social media.
Yeah,
like
Oh,
it's
that's so
it's an interesting thing.
but good segue, because the team is definitely hiring, and you can find all our open positions at
That's true.
careers.supercell.com.
What is this? What a
That's
curveball.
fantastic.
Nice.
I love it.
I like it.
Surely you have a prompt for that one, no?
Yeah.
No prompt? Okay.
But actually, on that note, I think that's an interesting one, because, of course, there's this thing that Supercell always try to have really small teams. And that's already... we're still small by comparison
Is Brawl
to
Stars
some-
the biggest team?
We're not the biggest team.
Supercell?
We're not the biggest team anymore.
We are not.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
You were for a long time, right?
Yeah, we were.
We were.
Who is it?
Um,
Can you reveal?
No, we can't. It's a unannounced game.
Unfortunately.
Wow.
but-
Big announcement.
That is a
That's
spoiler.
the
Well, now
Nick
I'm
Nick.
excited.
Supercell's making games. Heard it
We
here.
are
That was the
making
leak I didn't know that I wanted to hear.
It's not a leak. We always have games in development.
Yeah.
It's true.
And
It's
you, actually, you guys might have seen two back to back in the next, right around this time.
Yeah.
So,
as,
Squad
as we are
Busters
talking today, Flood Rush
and
was
Flood Rush
Yes.
is
today
the new one
that we were
so-
recording. So that's exciting. And then Squad Busters just ended their beta.
Yeah,
Right.
oh, it's not even over yet.
It'll be over in about 4 hours.
I still got to play. No, just kidding. I've been playing a lot.
By the time you see this video, it's already over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But what you were saying is
what I was saying is that,
the
like-
team has a smaller team.
Sure, but compared to, for example, the team when we went global, we were just around 20 people, and now the team, all things considered, is over 40 people. So we doubled in size, and we're still hiring. And in general, in Supercell, like, we want to stay small, and we're not gonna overhire people. But we've, as a company, I guess, decided that what's most important for us is to be able to execute against ideas for our players. And so if that meets more people, so be it. So that is one thing. But at the same time, people are not the solution to everything, right? And if you talk to people who are working in 100, 200 people teams, the administrative overhead becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Like we today we have, like, depending on the team, like, one producer. Producers are people in game teams which make sure the production is on schedule, essentially. So they're assigning tasks, they're going around in the team to make sure that people are hitting their milestones. So they're the fun police. And sorry to all producers out there, you're not the fun police. But the bigger your team is, the more of these producer roles you need in the team. So if you have a team of 200 developers, you probably need 20, 30 producers. And those are people who are not developing themselves, okay? They're part of the development process, but they're not putting code in, they're not creating art. It's just overhead. They're making sure that the game gets released or the update gets released. So, and that's obviously important.
With 200 people, there's a lot of systems that have to go, and you can't have everybody communicating to
Correct.
everybody all the time.
Correct.
Otherwise, it's too confusing and complex.
Yeah. But of course, that means decisions are made slower, and individuals, to a degree, lose the sense of responsibility for the work they're putting in, right? If you're a client developer in Brawl Stars today, or in any Superstar game, you will know exactly what you have to do. And you were part of the decision-making process of what you're working on. And you're likely, also have a little bit of design in you. And you work with a game designer, a UI UX artist, and a server engineer and small teams to make these features. There's nobody else getting in the way. The team as a team decides this is what we want to work on, and then you're just working on it, but you have a lot of freedom in how you're doing this. And yeah, that's not possible when you're getting too big, because then everything gets slower and slower and slower, and you cannot make these quick fix like the fix we made with a trophy reset change. We decided that literally after we saw the data, looked at it, we had a 1-day discussion. And then we were like, let's make that change. And so I talked to a server engineer myself. I redid the reset table, figured out some underlying math, and then we looked at it as a group, said, yes, let's do this. And then we put it in the next week.
And then it was just done.
And And in other companies, I really don't try to throw shade.
It has to go through people that don't understand what's going on with the game. They have to look, how is this going to impact our finances?
Yes.
And everything. They have to.
Right.
It's a lot of overhead, red tape.
You can see that. I mean, it's all public, But just look at other games out there, which are online, and when they have a bug, how long it takes for them to address those bugs, even if they're more, let's say if a character doesn't work and they have to disable a character, how long does it take until they can play their character again? Or, if a system doesn't work, they have to turn it off, and how long does it take to come back? Compare that to the speed we have. And that is something I'm really proud of, but that only works because we're small. So there's this balance between we want to be big enough so we can execute enough on our ideas for our players, but at the same time, we don't want to get too big because it makes us slow. And then everything becomes bureaucracy, and we need, instead of days, weeks to decide stuff and make stuff happen.
Right.
So we need this startup spirit in a way that we can move really fast, and that we can, we go for lunch together, we have a discussion, we agree on stuff, we come out of lunch, and we are like, let's do this now, not in the future.
And also the autonomy you give to people, right? Because we can give the example from Bonnie. We did a maintenance to fix something, and then when we got back, Bonnie was broken. She was crashing the game. And it was me and the server guy, what do we do? And disable Bonnie, let's fix in the morning. Because everybody was sleeping because it was midnight in Finland. And I was like, should I call Frank or should I make the call, right? Gladly, I made the right call. I talked to Frank later. I apologize if I made the wrong call, but I think we should have done that. And then it was me and the server guy, and then it solved that thing in the morning. So it was less than 24 hours broken. And then Bonnie was trending on Twitter because of that.
I didn't know Danny had the power to just disable a brawler just because he wanted to.
So if you want to disable Edgar, just let me know.
Spam them. Taking bribes. It's we really value this level of trust and autonomy and independence and people being able to make decisions by themselves, not having to ask everyone. And especially in situations like that, you want speed. You want the level of urgency is there. Okay, then you can make a decision. If something is not urgent and you make a big decision, that's weird. Then you should take your time. You should discuss with your colleagues. But sometimes you need that speed. And just for the record, we do monitor our servers 24/7. So there's 24/7, there's server engineers on standby to jump in if something happens. It's just that there's a difference between servers going haywire and there's a bug in the game.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very different things. And a lot of the bugs in the game, as Danny just gave the example, turning off a brawler is something it's easy for us to do. Fixing a bug, it's just not that easy, and you're not waking up everyone to fix a bug right now. It just, again, goes back to sustainability, right? You want sustainability, because if you do that, then guess what? Tomorrow, these guys, they're definitely not developing. So it's like, it's really, you need to look big picture and
Shout out to our server guys, by the way.
yo.
I don't want to name names because maybe he doesn't want to. But he saved Brawl's life in that night.
But they're all in the credits.
They're on
Yeah,
They're all-
true.
you
they're
can
all
hunt-
in the
but you
credits.
don't
credits.
But they don't know who is.
Just go on the credits,
Yeah.
pick a random guy, and imagine that
Yeah,
person's the
yeah.
server engineer.
Yeah, good luck.
Well, I do have a quick follow up, and we'll
Yes.
get more back to the Brawl Stars
Sure.
stuff here. But
Sure.
I just curious from a developer's perspective, how does it feel with the team being 40 large? That's a lot of people. If you guys want to sit down and have a conversation, that's 40 people just sitting down on the couch talking. That's a big couch, you know. Is it feeling like it's getting too big for Supercell, or are you feeling good?
I mean, I guess everyone has their own opinion, but maybe from my perspective, real quick, I think the good part about having still a smallish team is everyone is kind of passionate about different topics still.
Yeah.
So whenever you discuss something, you know, not everyone's going to be really into how do we do Power League matchmaking, for example. So then you have maybe a group of 5, 6 to 10 people, and that's still a small group. Everyone gets their voice heard. Everyone, you know, you can have the time, and you know, of course, on bigger things we still gather the whole team, but more often than not, you have, you know, a smaller group to discuss things.
Yeah, and everyone has the freedom to join these task
Anything.
force. So
Yeah.
maybe we have our data scientist, which is very passionate about matchmaking and bad randoms specifically. And then she posts like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about this. Who wants to join? And then we sign up, and then we discuss this thing. So you have like those mini task force all over across the team.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really great to have opinionated people
Yeah.
about topics.
Yeah.
But no, it's not getting too big, in my opinion. I think something people don't see so much. I think that there was a question we wanted to answer later on about what was the most stressful update ever.
Yeah.
Maybe let's answer that in one
Okay.
go, because it's kind of connected to this. So we got a question. I'm not sure what the question was. It was about like I think it was just what was the most stressful
content
update.
wise, like which one is
Content-wise,
the biggest workload, I would say.
So for me, and this is before V and Adrian joined the team, actually, we had this update in early 2020 where we introduced Brawl Pass, and that happened into COVID and only a month before China launch.
Oh,
And this was by far the most stressful period in Brawl Stars. It was not, I think it was more stressful than global, and we worked hard to get global out of the way. But that was just like the world had, you know, like decided to work against us. Like,
when you were completely changing the economic progression of the entire game by adding Brawl Pass in there, it was a massive change. Before it was just boxes.
Yeah.
and when people don't have on their radar so much, right? They know that okay, the Brawl Pass update happened, but in parallel we're working towards releasing the game in China, and that is not a small undertaking. Okay, that again is one of these projects where probably, you know, like a third of the team were working on this for like half a year, just to get ready for the China launch, because it required different infrastructure in China, and it was like, so these things all happened together, and then we had to adjust in working at home, all at the same time. It was really stressful period for everyone on the team, and you know what? We did this actually with almost the original team, so we were just over 20 people, and it was immensely stressful. And I came out of that, you know, I moved like that summer, we couldn't go on vacation, right? So I just spent time here in a cottage in Finland. And I really tried to deflate, not think about the game at all. And for 1 month, I took time off. 1 month
I
here.
remember it was the only thing you posted on Twitter was like pictures of your dog and food.
Yeah, exactly.
It was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah.
That's all he posts anyway.
And in reality, I was just crying in the shower every night.
You mean all the important stuff, Adrian? True. So it's like, and I came out of that, and that really like gave, like sometimes when you're too close to the problem, it's very hard to see the solutions.
Yeah.
And this month off I came out of that and like, oh guys, this is not working. It's not what we're doing here. Like, yes, it's working right now, but it's not sustainable in the long term. People will burn out if we keep going like this. So, and back then, again, if you watch that other podcast, we made the decision to hire more people. And fortunately, our leadership team was okay with that because it was such a holy cow for us. Like this whole like idea of growing the team was one of the hardest things to do before that. And
Supercell
unfortunately,
was very against it, just as a general company,
Yeah.
because it's how Supercell was founded, on small teams. And so for you guys to go to Ilka and be like, "Hey, we want to double our team size," it's like, whoa.
Yeah, but you know, I basically told them, look, it's not gonna work for the team and it's not gonna work for our players, so it's a lose-lose. So let's try to fix it. And he agreed with me and allowed the team to staff up. And fast forward then to today, I think today the team is in the best state we've ever been. Like which is like we are the most functional team we've ever been. We have the best team morale we had ever, essentially. We have also pretty much all roles filled. There's a few additional people we could bring in, but you know, everyone who needs to be there is there right now. So right now we really feel, and what people also don't see, like sometimes we finished in the past like a brawler or a skin like the day before we submitted the update. Like literally. It sounds super scary in game developer terms. There was no wiggle space for mistakes.
Well, there have been times when Danny's like, "Hey, you guys can play with this new brawler," and like Hank was just completely busted. He was so broken. Like,
Yeah, it can still happen.
He would deal like thousands of damage
Or one.
at the very smallest bubble,
one.
and then at max burst bubble, he would deal 1 damage. It was just like, and that was like a day before the update was going to happen.
Yeah, that's a whole different story. But in general, we're now getting really ahead. You know, like people sometimes like they don't understand how far ahead we get. Like right now we're starting, we're post pre-production for the after summer update.
Wow.
So
post pre-production for non-developer terms. Can you
Okay,
explain
sorry.
what that means?
So updates or game production in general, like there's a period which is called pre-production when you're essentially planning and you know getting ready to produce stuff.
Yeah.
And we are way beyond that state now. So we're getting really ahead. We know until the end of the year, for example, what are the classes of brawlers we want to release. We know the days. We know the day the Brawler Win update will arrive. All these little details. In the past, it was like almost unplannable for us, and now all of this is planned. We're also with designs. Designs have been historically done while we're developing, and now we're actually designing one update cycle before we develop. At least the big picture
Very
stuff.
cool. So it's not that everything is developed and ready to go for the next while. It's that everything is planned and the basic structure of how it will work out is already planned.
Yeah, I think we touched on it in the last one when we talked about the big meta change.
Yeah.
I think the decision was made in Q1 2022 to make that change.
To remove boxes.
To remove boxes. And then, but before the summer break, we had the basic high-level design ready. Mm-hmm. And it was released, in December. So like, but the series of events leading there, that's a huge change for us as a team, how we work compared to how we worked before. So it's way less stressful now to do this. We're not burning out people. It's sustainable. And on top of that, we can do more for our players than we did in the past. And I think, we're producing now the highest number of content we've ever produced, actually. The amount of skins, pins, everything we're throwing out there. The productivity of the features. We've never been at this level of productivity as a team. And at the same time, it's the healthiest team we ever had and the team with the best morale we ever had. If you're in our team space, if you could be a little fly on the wall, you would hear a lot of laughter every day. And that's for me as a lead of this team, of course, it's like, it's super gratifying, super gratifying. It's like you just sit there and you see people actually have fun at work and they like each other and they like working with each other. And yes, sometimes we have heated arguments, but we're always we're arguing about things. We're not like
Because
I'm
you're
not
passionate
like
about the game.
Yeah.
I'm not like Danny, I hate your guts.
Yeah.
It's like Danny, this thing this thing, this doesn't work, and try to explain it and argue through it and like try to see both perspectives. So it's really like, it just feels good. It just feels really good. So right now I think we're in a pretty sweet spot. We can still grow a little, but yeah, it feels good. I mean, you guys should say something.
I mean, I
about
just
it.
like how we went from most stressful update ever to best team ever. That's not good. I mean, that's not bad.
But you know, it was a.
Yeah,
And we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's like 2.5, 3 years from going from this is not sustainable, this is unhealthy for us, to we're in a really good place.
Yeah.
So it's not a fast solution by any means.
Yeah. V, do you want to go next? What has been stressful for you?
I mean, I think on some designs we could be further ahead. We actually hired a second designer, which I don't think you've met yet, KT, but and that's been really helpful because on the design, because the way that things have to work is design has to, in some ways, have a pretty well done design before engineering and art and all of the implementation beyond that can happen. And so, and the problem with the design is sometimes either we're not necessarily sure if this was the right design, like it could change due to feedback on the team, due to other reasons. And so the design changes. But so historically, if the design changes while you're in flight of making that next update, it's really costly on your engineers and on any art that's been done and whatnot. And now we're in a cycle where actually kind of, Jeff is the new designer on the team, and we're kind of like leapfrogging a little bit. So we have a little bit more where I'm focused on one update, he's focused on the next, and we kind of can take turns. Obviously, we still sync quite often on that stuff, and also with the team. But that in that sense, it's been better. But yeah, overall, I think design we could probably still move a little bit faster if I'm being completely honest on like what we're making. But it's been a lot better.
You can hear assimilation is still ongoing.
Yeah.
He has never designed a feature which is shipped tomorrow.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Yeah.
Well, that's really awesome. I like to hear that. And you know what? I don't know how much I can really share, but I know that you guys have shared systems and stuff like that with like myself and some other people to say, hey, what's your gut thoughts on this? How do you feel about this before it actually even gets finalized? And I mean, sometimes that happens months before when it's just on paper and nothing's actually developed and stuff like that. And it's really awesome for the game. And I think that people even see the fact that the team is in a really good, healthy state as well. Because I'm also feeling like, man, things are really good right now. Things are really good in Brawl at the moment. I mean, we have things we want to be improved, but things are pretty good.
Yeah, community sentiment is really positive right now for Brawl.
Yeah. What was for you, Danny, stressful? The most stressful update?
I think it was the Star Road, the remove of boxes, because like we had the Omega box campaign, and that was like an added layer to my work on top of everything that's going on, right? So there's Brawl Talk, there's the World Finals, which I was working also, like I was also working in the World Finals, and then we had like to plan a campaign and execute and like and then update the results because we didn't have any feature for that, so they update by hand. Like we were checking on data, and then we had like a script that was giving me the numbers every morning, and then I had to update every day. So yeah, it's like planning a campaign, executing it on top of my daily work. It was very stressful for me, and I think like I'm really happy how things went. Because like I think the video didn't lack quality. I think the video was really fun. Me punching boxes. I think it was a nice thing to do. Like the cadence of content that we announced an announcement in the World Finals. I think that was really cool because it created like a really hypey moment, like very different from what we used to do. And then on the top of that, the update itself was massive. We had like 3 brawlers, one for quest, which is a new feature. The Star Road, like removing boxes, we changed the whole economy of the game, which like sometimes it feels like, do you think like this is simple? It's not, because like tied to that, there is the whole economy of the game. Plus we added fame at the end because there was nothing before. It's like this update was gigantic and then I had to work on top of like these extra things to hype it up, the update. So I think for me that was the most stressful. I think maybe the most rewarding. On top of that, I was doing the brawlies. Like I was, writing and filming the brawlies as well.
On the side.
Well, who
Side
wanted
that's
to
a
do
lot at
that,
once.
Danny?
Yeah, it's my own
Yeah, I
fault.
wanted you to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that goes back to this like the independence thing at Supercell.
Yeah.
Like often like Danny is just like the first time you did it, you just came to my desk saying, "Hey Frank, I want to spend X USD."
Yeah, I need money.
I was like, "What the hell?" But then I was like, "Oh, that sounds great. Let's do it." But again, it's like if you're your own decision maker in many ways, it's sometimes really hard to
Control yourself. Yeah.
control
Yeah.
because you can't do anything. So it's
So
just
what should you be doing?
should you be doing anything? So saying no is like or like realizing that no, I actually Brawlies would be really nice right now, but it's not the most important thing,
Right.
and I don't want to burn myself out.
So if you don't see a Brawlies this year, yeah, maybe
That was a segue.
That's because
Brawlies
we're
are-
working on something else bigger.
But
No,
Oh,
no, stop
no,
it.
no.
Please stop.
V,
No.
what are you saying?
My God.
Oh,
just
V,
chilling.
no.
Brawlies V-Ducks. That's what it is.
So many promises. Are you doing them, V?
No, I don't even know. I don't
no.
even know what the Brawlies are.
I heard he just volunteered
Yeah, that's what I heard.
instead of Danny.
That's what I heard. Nice
He's gonna
job.
take the
Danny will
Brawlers,
take a
that's
nice
great.
sabbatical this summer, winter,
Yeah.
and then V is running the Brawlies.
Yeah.
Good luck, dude.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds
Can't
good.
wait.
That's fantastic.
So
So
Adrian,
you guys, you
Oh, sorry.
said some things that I kind of wanted to follow up on if you're
Sure,
okay with that.
sure.
Yeah, sure.
So Frank just barely told us that you have everything planned for the next while, basically.
Mm.
9 months ago, you guys released the Future of Brawl Stars Brawl Talk, where you kind of gave us a roadmap, what's happening in the future. And since then, you've pretty much released everything that you guys talked about, except for the PvE and the weekend event rework with it. You actually talked about a lot on the last podcast, and as just a brief explanation of what that was that you tried it, you weren't happy with how it came out with, so you want to develop it some more. But push that to the side for now. What are you willing to share about the future of Brawl Stars updates and what you are working on right now?
We are not done with the list, by the way, of the things we gave everyone in August. There's a few items which we have not mentioned, so you should rewatch that video.
I've watched it like 20 times now. What did I miss?
So there's still a few loose ends we want to tie up. There's of course always new stuff we're working on. There's still a few feedbacks from the transition to Star Road which are unaddressed. And that's as much as I will say about this for now. So there's still a few things going on, but we have the intention with a summer Brawl Talk to give you guys another update on what are the things we are focusing on next.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, I think this worked really well for us. It's like, it's not a binding, this is what we will do. It's more like, this is what we're thinking about, what we will do. And I think we're already thinking right now a lot about the future of Brawl and what are the things we want. I mean, we touched on, the whole combination of trophy league, club league, power league. How does this all work together? Does it make sense? Should we do
And
change?
when to change it.
And there's lots of other changes we would like to see. So we will give another update after the summer break with a August Brawl Talk.
Cool. So everybody make sure you subscribe for that if you haven't already. Sorry, my YouTuber came out of me.
That was clean. That was clean.
Yeah, use code Kairos to get this information
Yeah.
first, right?
I'm not sure about
I had
that.
to try.
That's
No, but I like that. And I think that Brawl Talk was really set a great precedent for the community in knowing that, we might not necessarily know what's happening in the future of the Brawl Stars, but that doesn't mean that you guys aren't looking ahead and trying to come up with some awesome things. And
Yep.
we really appreciate that as a community, just knowing what's on your radar.
And we will still have some wiggle space to take the community feedback and sentiment about features into consideration. So I think like the Gears update, to go back there,
Sorry.
like it's really one of those things which I know the community was really, really annoyed by the whole thing, right? You were. But there's a but. Like, of course, we think we resolved most of it, not everything, but most
would
of
agree.
it. It's in a much better place today than where it was. I guess we can all agree on that. If we're done with it, I don't know yet. But you know, it's what it is today. In the short term, we don't have any intention to introduce, for example, power level 12. Like there was, you know,
a nice reassurance.
it's like-
We appreciate that.
and for the record, it might happen eventually. I think I just tweeted about this to someone who asked, or posted on Reddit or something. So it's a possibility that we will have power 12 at some point. But before that would happen, need to happen, is that enough of our players are at power 11 for the brawlers they play. And we would need to have a really nice gameplay carrot, which makes it actually, you know, worth your while to get there. Else we won't do it. So again, I lost my train of thought.
Well,
But
I like
that's
what
it.
you're
That's
saying
the
there
thought, yeah.
because you guys, the team has
the
made
learning.
a lot of changes to the develop. Oh, sorry.
The
You go
learning.
ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, the learning. So, but the Gears update, it actually taught us an important lesson, because we were not internally as a team, we were not fully aligned on the Gears update. There was like
Initially,
initially, like
Okay.
when we released it, like the cost of things, you know, and it was a combination of things. There was also, of course, the club league with the golden tickets, and so there were multiple things where we didn't have the time to discuss them properly as a team, right? Where we say we're getting ahead with game design that involves all these discussions around it, making sure the team has alignment, or sometimes agrees to disagree and move on, but at least everyone should have a chance to, you know, have their voices heard. There should be a proper discussion about things. A year ago, a year ago, the PvE update we had planned to roll out, we would have launched. Right? So now we made the decision not to launch it because we had that discussion. We took a serious look at, we invested time to develop it already, but we still made the decision not to continue, not to roll it out, because we thought it's not hitting the quality bar the team has in mind for this. And that is like very different to what we did a year before with the Gears, where we did not have this sanity check, this step where we're like, you know, we really invested like half a year on doing this, but now that we are here, is it the right move to release it?
yeah.
Even though the community will be disappointed if this feature's not coming, but still, was it the right move? And I think so today, what this taught us as a team is to be much more like, I think we're much more critical about what we release. We're also designing things earlier now. And this combination of this, I think, it already led to better updates. If you're looking just back from this, or even like from before the Star Road, from the October update on last year to the updates we've released this year so far, I mean, judging by your very scientific scoring methodology, I think we're doing pretty well.
Yes.
And also, like, if you look at the community sentiment, where it was in the beginning of, like summer 2022 versus where it's now, it's very different. It's very different. Of course, you have the occasional guy on Twitter or Reddit who is not happy with something, and that's fine. But overall, holistically, the sentiment is so much better. We're in so much better place. Yep.
No, I'd
I
agree
agree.
with that. And there are going to be people that are going to complain about everything, even the most awesome update. Bling comes out and they're like, "This is boring," and you're like, "You're what?"
It does hurt.
No, I get that.
Like if you're the designer behind this, or the guy who worked on this, who put their, like people like Gonzalo, or who really put like energy and love into crafting this, and then people are like, "Oh, this
Gonzalo's
is boring."
very passionate.
Like
Yeah.
I worked on this for 4 months, and you tell me it's boring after you saw a sneak peek, like one frame somewhere on a video, and you're like, it's boring.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you so much.
do you know what really grinds my gears the most?
Don't say it because they will
I will say,
capitalize on that.
No, because
Peyton.
no, because now they can use it as a meme, you know. So,
Okay.
so it's when people go, don't they test their game?
That's your whole job.
I'm like, I'm just sitting there like, I wonder. Yeah,
the one that triggers me and like I'm.
Oh, we talk about
Oh,
triggers.
here we
Yeah,
go.
screw
Here we
it.
go.
Yeah,
here we
let's-
go.
okay, let's do this. Let's do this. What?
Oh,
The one
my
that
God.
triggers me
Oh,
is
boy.
when they call us lazy.
Oh,
Oh,
Because-
that one is harsh.
My God,
Ooh.
how do we
Yeah.
work? Like,
That's harsh.
Yeah. Fire this guy already.
yeah.
That was hilarious to me, to be honest. I think like I would just love a conversation where you come in like, yeah, this Twitter guy said you need to be fired, so
You're out.
You're gone. Yeah.
Your
There's
Twitter
been I've seen
warning.
a couple of posts like that. Man, people
Yeah.
go really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What are you gonna say, Cars?
Well, I was gonna say how difficult is for you to handle that? Like, I don't know, as a content creator, that used to be really hard for me when people would complain about my own stuff. And honestly, it was hard for me when they would complain about the game because it's something that I just love so much and I'm passionate about. Thankfully, I've gained thicker skin over time, and I've tried to figure out what kind of feedback is worth listening to and which is not. But how is the team handling this? So is there anybody on the team that's just like refuses to look at social media because they don't want to see it? Or do you just like, are you just, I don't know, where are you at?
There are a bunch of people on the team who are not looking at social media at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to.
Which I think is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Because
try
social
to
media is a
protect all
scary
of
place.
them.
Yeah.
I try not to recommend going there because like usually like what do you get? Like my work is to translate what the community is saying and give it to the team, right? So like the benefit you get is that sometimes you can get bashed on the head for out of nothing. And then we can actually link to a question that I was getting a lot when I made the tweet. Is like people are asking like for a concept artist to post the concepts, and like it's up to her. It's her work. Like she doesn't need to, and like she like if you put like your face to like for people to criticize, like you would look at the negative ones, right? You don't care if like there's a million positive comments. Someone says like this design sucks, and they're like, oh my God, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And like if you are not prepared, or like if you don't have like the thick skin as you said, it can damage you and can really impact you. And like even like Paul, who left the team, he's still being criticized. He's not even the team
Yeah.
anymore. And
That's
then
crazy.
people tagging you
That's
like,
crazy.
this design sucks. Like, come on, dude, I'm not even working the thing anymore. What you saying?
Yeah, it's like, Frank V, what is your biggest trigger?
I think fortunately people have been quite nice to me on Twitter so far, but that's because I only created the
Keep it that
handle,
way, please. We need him.
last Brawl, time to explain.
They need some time to find out what your buttons are. is
Yeah,
what you're
yeah, I
saying.
think they do. I think they do, and that's hopefully there'll be a long time before they do. But no, I actually people have been quite nice actually overall. I most of the triggering things I think actually happened somewhat in the team space.
Oh,
Oh my God.
I see.
But
Drama.
I think
Personally
it's due
attacked.
Do you
to
have a drama button?
so I'll just tell a quick story about it. It's actually nothing to do with a thing I worked on in game, but there was like a debate as to whether I was better than this other player at Brawl Stars, at this other developer on Brawl
Oh
Stars.
my God.
Oh, yeah,
no,
this one.
V.
Oh my God! And so and I'm not gonna mention them names. All right, I'm not gonna mention any names, but they might have looked up some information and was like, "Are you like better than this other person?" And I was trying to dig myself out of those holes, and I felt I was just digging deeper. Where I agreed during, by the way, an offsite, we were like off in another country, and I had to play a duels match 1v1. And initially we were like, oh, we're just gonna do this in like the hotel lobby and like nobody's gonna be around anyways. We turned out to do it right before like our bus was gonna come to take us to the next location. And so everybody was like in the lobby area and they were like, hey, what if they look like they're playing against each other? Because we were both like really, when you play duels, it's like sweaty.
Oh,
Right?
it's intense.
It's super sweaty. And we played a best of 3. And I won by like a very thin margin. And I just felt horrible because like you realize that like what is the point of proving that I was marginally better than this other person on the team? Meanwhile, now he feels kind of crappy and he's like afterwards she was kind of like, we should do a rematch sometime. So
Never let go.
I gotta
And
learn.
that's how sweaty players are
cool
born.
my chest.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm known to be quite competitive when it comes to competition related things, and so this is.
It was good fun.
Yeah,
I
you
remember
don't
that
like to be
spot.
called a casual.
But
No.
I hate these kind of situations when people they keep asking like, can I play against you, Danny, or something. It's like in this situation I can only lose.
Yeah.
Because if I
Yeah.
win, then I keep my reputation. If I lose, I'm humiliated, right? It's like it's better not to just not do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Well, is there anything that you would like to say to the community that you haven't had an opportunity to before? I mean, Frank is very open with his feelings toward the community.
Yeah.
I mean,
But like, you know, let's say you have people that are, you know, willing to say these negative things. Like, what would you just say to them?
I think I've said
yeah.
this many times before, but I would echo it. It's completely fine to be critical.
Yeah.
Like we don't mind that at all. Just try to explain why. Try to explain what makes you feel a certain way. How do you feel? What made you feel that way? If you say something is bad, we can't do much with that. If you say, I felt bad playing Club League because I can only play twice, as an example, then we know exactly what you feel is wrong, and we can actually action that. That's a great point to bring up in discussion.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
that's a huge difference in how you present your feedback. We love like actual criticism if
Yeah.
we can action it.
right.
I can promise you, like most people who would join us in design discussions, etc., would likely melt away over how heated these discussions are led. But they're all led by arguments, and that's it's about the thing. And the argument is not calling us lazy or you know, and it's not, again, like, if you just write this is bad, or I don't like this feature you made, or this skin is or whatever it is, then we will just not read it. That's
Yeah.
a practice. So if you want to be
You'll get
heard,
ignored.
if you want to be heard, then you need to have something to, you know, if you write a comment under the Brawl Stars account, on Danny's, V's, Adrian's, or my Twitter account, if you write something like this, that you're getting zero attention from us, it just does do nothing. It's like you just wasted time to write this, even though you feel something, obviously, and you likely have a reason why you feel like this. It just, like, it doesn't do anything. It's a waste of time. There's a similar behavior like this. There are some people in the community who escalate everything. Everything is a problem.
Yeah.
Like this brawler, this everything. Every brawler is OP. Every brawler is underpowered. Something is wrong with everything we do. And again, it's like, you might even have good points or good arguments sometimes on why that is a reason. But, you know, there's the boy who cried wolf. It's that kind of, if you're every day crying wolf and there's never a wolf, then eventually the people in the town will stop listening to you, even if there's a wolf, even though they would like to know that there's a wolf. And it's similar for us. If someone is talking about every single thing we do and every balance change, everything, then eventually we stop listening. Even though, that's like, it's not a conscious decision. It's human psychology. You're like, okay, this person said 10 different things now. 9 times it was nothing. And now the 10th time there might be something to it, but will you still have the mental energy and bandwidth to take that in or not? And the likelihood is not. Well, if you have someone who's only choosing to post once, but makes a really good point and has an argument and, you know, lines it out, then you're much more likely to listen.
Yeah.
So it's like, lesson from this, pick your battles. It's really important.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, for
Think
sure.
twice.
For sure.
Many lessons.
We do the same thing on team, by the way, when it
Yeah.
comes to these discussions. You can't have an opinion on everything because we're just never going to get anywhere.
Pick your battles.
Yeah, I pick all of the battles. You guys know where
Yeah, you do.
videos.
Yeah, you do.
But no, like,
No, we don't.
for example, we release an update and you pick one item from the update, right? It's not like you go through every item in the update and then you criticize everything. So like, you pick the battle that makes
Yeah.
sense for you in this update. So that's
Well,
how
I
it
also
should
talk
be.
about a
Yeah.
lot of the good things as well. I
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about, hey, here's all the good stuff, and this is what I like about it. You know, 9.5 out of 10 for this last update. But here are the few things that I would have liked to
Yeah.
improve. You know.
Yeah.
So
And
I
that's
like
totally fair. Again, like, as a team, we have heated discussions about everything we do, essentially.
And maybe, you know, that's one point that, you know, try to explain what you feel and why you feel. And the second, and what's easy to forget, is that we're all in the same boat. You want the game to be the best it can be.
Yeah.
We want the game to be the best it can be.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a win-win, really.
yeah.
And honestly, I think people forget that you guys care more about Brawl Stars than most people.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
like
I think-
absolutely. Like you spend 8 hours a day at least just thinking about Brawl Stars. Most people that are really passionate, I mean, they maybe play an hour or two. Some people play more than 8 hours a day though, so I don't know.
Yep.
I think it's a safe to say that there's likely not many people outside of this office which spend more time thinking, breathing, Brawl. Like it's just like it's literally our life at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's
Yep.
what it is. Like,
Yep.
and you cannot really turn off. You know, there's an interesting Brawl Stars related video coming out while you're on vacation. You will likely watch it, and it's like so. This turning off is easier said than done,
Oh, for sure.
especially if you also like playing the game, which we do. so it's like
A great example, actually, when I play any other game sometimes and I sit in a queue, I'll play Brawl Stars matches in
Yeah.
between, in
Yeah.
the queue. Yeah.
You know, like before I was playing mobile games for like to wait for the loading times of the big games.
Yeah.
And then I think it was even before I got hired at Supercell. I was playing Red Dead Redemption, which has like massive loading times nowadays. And then I started playing Brawl. Like, oh, I think I'm just keep playing this game and ignore this
Zero
PlayStation
loading
4.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it changed the game. By the way, we've talked a lot, and for the sake of this video not having like another 3 hours, should we speedrun some topics?
Yes, let's.
Maybe it's a sneak peek time. What are you guys think? I have a game for
Yes,
you, Kairos.
it is sneak peek
I have a
time.
game for you. Maybe let's see if Frank agrees. I will drop 5 items and Kairos pick one to review for the community.
okay.
Whoa.
Like
Okay,
we will
that's
edit the
exciting.
items out. It's like I will
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to pick one of these next 5 things that we get to reveal to everybody.
Oh boy. Wait, but
Okay.
this one is very big.
I'm
Should I-
writing them all down for myself though.
Oh, really? I was unaware of this format, but I'm just as excited to see
Yeah.
what you're gonna do.
Do I have like total freedom?
Yeah. Go.
Yeah,
Go.
Okay.
I mean, you know what we're shipping.
Yes, I know. So, do you wanna know? Or do you wanna know about the?
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh, I was not expecting this.
Oh no.
I was
Pick one,
not expecting this.
Whoa, everybody doesn't know what I just heard, but
Oh
man.
boy! Please make a note that we edit this part.
Yeah, I mean, just edit it just before and just get its reaction.
yeah.
Wow.
Then we should
Oh,
go
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
clap. Clap.
Stop.
Ooh. This is really hard.
Oh, also out of context, this is really, really hard.
Yep.
This is hard. Okay, I'm gonna eliminate that one. Okay, I've got my pick because this is spicy. I want you guys to talk about the new gacha.
I somehow thought that would be the pick.
I got it now. How can we make these mysterious and not giving too much?
Yeah.
So
much can we
gacha,
how
for
much
those
do
of
we
you guys who are
actually
not
even
aware
wanna
of,
say?
Yeah.
is brawl boxes. Like,
Yeah.
or maybe not brawl boxes specifically, but that's what brawl boxes are a gacha mechanic in games and game development. It's a type of game development. So apparently there's new gacha. So the question is, how can you guys talk about it without revealing too much?
Is that what we mean?
Well, I don't know. You
Hey.
just said new gacha.
Yeah.
I guess we can start by saying that following the Star Road update,
Yeah. Yeah.
there has been feedback, blah, 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 blah.
The number
I
one.
Was
thought
it-
you were gonna actually.
like,
The blah 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 was the first part.
Oh, this connection breaks up.
Like, okay.
Is that good
the
enough?
number one cause of 1-star reviews for Brawl Stars right now is they removed Brawl Boxes.
That's right.
Which, by the way, I will say that like Brawl Stars removing Brawl Boxes was incredibly polarizing, and I think that most people can agree it was an awesome change. It was fantastic. Gotcha in the sense that Brawl Boxes was like there's a little bit of like I don't know, and I have nothing wrong with gotcha in games. I don't, but for an audience as young as Brawl Stars, it's a little bit of a concern. Now, Brawl Stars' Brawl Boxes were very friendly. They were very friendly in comparison to most games, but that is the number one piece of feedback. People like that dopamine kick of like a new brawler from a Brawl Box or something like that.
So maybe let's say.
Sorry, I'll let you guys talk. I actually want to know what you're gonna say.
So maybe we can say like we'll try to address the feedback of like people not being super excited about how they get rewards.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we bring justice to some of the issues that were raised as a result of our December update last year.
Yeah, I think it's really fair to say that like we got a bunch of feedback coming out of the Star Road update, right? So there was a bunch of feedback, most of which we have addressed by now. And the remaining item which is unaddressed is I really like the randomness, the fun in that. And as Danny or Adrian said, is like we're not. Nobody in this room hates loot boxes or gacha. It's like, and we have games where it's just normal that it's there, and there's technically no issue with this. So for us, like, it was more like we didn't like that it created this unfair side of things, that some people got a lot and some people got very little, and that some people in very like who started at the same moment had like very different experience based on that. And so that we addressed. But at the same time, we do understand that it's really exciting it was a really exciting moment to, see a bigger number there on the Brawl box. And there you're like, oh, this could be like something big. This could be great for my account. This could be the brawler I wanted or whatever it is. And as a team, we discussed like how can we bring that back without thinking about monetization or anything like this in a way that fits the game, that is not literally bringing boxes back and so on and so forth, but having exciting moments every day in the life of our players, which give a little bit of this random moment where it could be something really small or it could be something super exciting, and that's what we're working on.
So to be clear, you're not completely getting rid of the new system and bringing Brawl Boxes back.
The new system is not going anywhere. It's our normal operation mode, and we like how it works, and like it actually performs really well. So, and again, actually 1/3 or so of the feedback we received after the update was that people liked that we removed the randomness.
Yeah.
And that they had now a clear path to unlock a brawler, and we don't want to take that away. So that is not gonna go away.
Yep. Do you wanna go?
So I just want to say one more thing. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I just have so many questions, and I know that you don't want to reveal absolutely everything.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're saying is you want to bring some of the positives that we had from the randomness of loot boxes, basically, and somehow putting it into the game to make things maybe a little bit more random and maybe a little bit more exciting, but not in a way that's going to ruin the playing or not in a way that's going to completely change the current system.
That's correct.
Is that
That's
a fair way to
It's
say
a
it?
fair assessment.
It's a fair way of saying it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to think if I can what can I pull from this conversation?
It's over. Sneak peek time is over.
Oh wow. Done.
Okay. I've already said
Fun
too much.
police Danny's here.
So should we go through more items of the update, or should we skip to the questions?
Let's go to
Let's go to the question.
Questions, I think.
yeah.
Questions. I think we
Okay.
covered pretty much everything. With the update.
Speedrun questions?
Speedrun questions.
Okay, let's go.
Do you have questions also from the players, Kairos?
Yeah, did you have other things you wanted to ask?
So a lot of my questions I've actually kind of gathered and I've already asked. I
Okay.
do have like a couple of questions, but I think it's important we go over the questions that your community has responded first.
All right.
Sure.
So
It's
let's
our
go.
community.
True.
Well, the Brawl
Our-
Stars, people specifically responding to Brawl Stars
Yes.
because they want to be a part of the future or these,
Yeah,
these
For sure.
podcasts.
For sure.
It's a good
Okay.
point.
So Vicky, at vclasher, why the working version of the report system has come out still? When to expect? I guess we can talk about the report. Why it's not we're taking actions.
Why?
Should I answer?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess we are collecting data. That's how we release that. And then we are trying to still figure out like if reports give us a meaningful data, right? So like our data scientists trying to match like this person has like the highest number of reports. How is the game behavior, like the player behavior in game? And that's only done through data. So like it's not watching replays. We want to figure out a number that tells that this report is legit. And like to figure out that is quite hard because like you have to, I don't know, if the player is noob, like you can't punish this guy, right? We can't have like false positives.
Yep.
Like it takes a lot of time, but it's in the back of our minds. Like our data scientists, our support person, they are highly passionate about this feature, and yeah, there's like a whole supporting also behind that to help. But yeah, it takes time. So like it's not that we abandon. It's just that maybe the priority is not as high, but it's still there's people working on it and thinking about it. Is it a good one?
Nothing to add.
That's good.
That was great.
And next question from Yudashi. Do you plan to change the trophy system? I guess like it's an overall rework, not like the reset. I'm not talking about the reset, etc., but about doing a total overall. Today we have to play too much to climb. It's a trophy, and this bothers me to the point that I only play in Stars Cup. Just imagine up 68 brawlers, 500 trophies. It's not difficult, but too long and restrictive in terms of time.
I think we touched a little bit on that we are also not satisfied with the system.
Yep.
So I think something will change sooner or later. That's the best we can give you
Maybe
right now.
later.
like I want to do one small comment there. Like 70, 72, 100 brawlers. Of course, if you say it like that and you say you have to play 100 brawlers from 0 to 500, it sounds like a lot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But in practice, that's not how it is, actually. In practice, is you're unlocking brawlers piece by piece. And if you're playing the game for a while, like you have most brawlers, that means only when we release a new brawler or you unlock a new brawler in the Star Road, you're playing them to 500. And I don't agree with that statement I think it's completely fair to expect to put
Well,
that
on my
time
free-to-play
investment in.
account series where I am going from start to finish with the new system, you get brawlers at a slow enough cadence that you can push them all one at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So,
I will agree with what Yudachi is saying here is
Yeah,
that like
yeah.
eventually some sort of change to the trophy system probably has to happen. But the question is, do you focus on it now or do you release different content that's new and exciting? Or do you wait until you have a better idea of it? So
All right.
We're thinking about this though.
Yeah.
We're actively thinking about it, but it's not in a design stage yet. It's like we're discussing what our options are, what we want to do in the future. So there's no timeline or anything.
Question from Fless with C. Very important. Are you planning to rework the training cave in a near future update?
Would be cool, but
Yeah, I guess on the priority list is not at the top.
No.
it's priority level 1 out of 10 in my book.
Well, I mean, unless Fless has something specific, which he
doesn't.
maybe should
But
have
maybe
written.
Flex can let us know.
Or
Yeah.
he or she doesn't, yeah.
I mean, there's we have a bunch of ideas because I mean we're getting this asked frequently. You know, have a moving target there. Do have a ball there and a goal.
Yeah.
You know, have different things there. Allow us to automatically charge supers or like whatever it is.
Yeah.
So there's some of these requests, of course, but again, right now it's like it's not our priority.
Yeah.
I'd
and it
rather
will
have
take a
Matt
lot
make
of
your
time.
changes.
Well, that's one of the questions as well. Asen at Crowman. It's so unhealthy to play Power League nowadays, even after so many tries to end teaming. Oh, wait, that's another question. Ignore
Are
the
you
Power
mixing
League.
two questions?
Yeah, ignore the Power League because we already talked about it. So, like, some Power League changes. And then the next question is, like, about teaming. Even after so many tries to end teaming in solo Showdown, releasing new modes, it's still the same. It's like, I guess, how would you solve teaming?
I have a feeling
Can
we're
I
talking.
start this even though I'm not a developer? At this point, I think it's impossible.
Wait. I think everything has a solution, right? It can't be impossible.
It's not impossible.
But
Well, it's not impossible to stop teaming, but is the solution to stop teaming going to take away from the game
yeah.
in a way? Because like
Is it fun?
you guys just added Hot Dog, Top Dog, Showdown, or whatever it is, and that was
Yeah.
another attempt to try and get people to stop from teaming, and it didn't work. You guys have done everything to try and stop teaming. I've been super against teaming from the very beginning. I've like built up a whole campaign about stop the spin way back in the early beta days, and every single suggestion that I see, I think if it was implemented that would actually remove teaming would make Showdown not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like teaming. I mean, it will. Teaming happens in all kind of battle royale games.
Yeah.
It's just that in most battle royale games, the maps are so big that, you know, like you're running around for 10 minutes without seeing someone, and then eventually you meet someone, and then you don't know. You know, you want their gear, and it's like the stakes are much higher than in Showdown in a way. And in Showdown, you immediately see, you know, everything almost. It's like it's very fast. It also only takes like 90 seconds in average.
Yeah.
So it's like, but we still haven't given up on the idea of trying to fix teaming. And some of these things like Showdown Plus, now the Top Dog modifier, it's not like they're doing nothing. They're just not doing enough. They typically push like the moment you experience teaming up some trophies. Like Showdown Plus moved it like from 650 to 700 or so in average, and we'd still, but it doesn't feel like a breakthrough exactly. You know, it's incremental improvement. It doesn't feel great, but I think we're not done with trying, and we might try some more extreme measures in trying to fix it. Who knows?
Yeah. I think I think there is a solution. Don't be hopeless, Kairos.
Yeah.
We'll figure
Thank
out.
you. I appreciate you restoring hope in me.
Yeah, don't worry.
Because I gave up a while ago.
Yeah, and I think like also like we are very careful. Like let's say like we do like a total revamp of Showdown, and we had like the only way to play Showdown now is this new mode, and we remove the old Showdown. It could hurt the game so much, right?
Well, Showdown's one of the most popular
Yeah,
game
yeah,
modes.
exactly.
If it is,
Yeah.
it might be the
is.
most
It is.
popular.
Yeah,
It is. But funnily enough, it's not the game mode where people have the most fun, as measured by how long they play Brawl Stars.
Mm.
So people who stick around and play Brawl Stars for a long time play 3v3, and that is something which is like we're instead of looking at it like very zoomed out, just looking at how many people play which mode. I think it's also important to look at like how many people play exclusively Showdown, for example, and like how does their behavior as a player look compared to everyone else. And if they don't stick around as long as people who play 3v3, that tells you something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think while Danny is right that it's scary to make a change in Showdown, but we have this world where we have modifiers, right? We have some modifiers in place already. It would be relatively easy for us to make some smaller tweaks here and there and try something more drastic in the regular Showdown. Because we can just apply a modifier to all the maps in rotation, right? That doesn't need us really to change Showdown. We could also change the rewards we're giving. You know, how many people are getting trophies? Like, who's getting trophies for what? And there must be a level where we might not want to go to, or maybe we want to go a place where only the best player in the team, in the room, gets something, right? So, like, can we change we need to address the why. Why are people teaming? because they think they make progress like this.
Yeah.
And if we manage to address that, that will be a solution. And yeah, maybe we have to be drastic and try it out. Because if it's not good for the game, because the retention for those players is worse anyway, wouldn't it be better if we push people to play 3v3 or really try to make a change? It's scary. It's super scary. But, you know, we have a reputation of being pretty willing to take risks as well.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, let's see. Let's see, people. We're
Cool.
still
I like
in
that.
fighting mood.
Yes.
Don't give up hope.
Don't give up. That's the lesson here. Question from Yuna. I enjoying watching the first episode. Okay. Kudos to us for watching this podcast. Do you have any plans to improve Map Maker?
Do you have the sound of the silence?
Yes.
Ah.
Well, we have ideas. We have ideas.
That's a very diplomatic way of
That's
saying
That's
it.
better than not
I-
having ideas.
I think ideas before plans, right? Plan is something concrete.
When we touched on the topic earlier of investing a lot of development time in something uncertain, Map Maker is surely that. Like we have glorious ideas. It's not just ideas; they're really
yeah.
cool ideas.
Uh-huh.
They're really cool.
But the amount of effort that will take means that most people for the next 3 to 6 updates would complain that we're only releasing brawlers and skins. So it's a tricky thing.
Very tricky.
So we really have to think about. I mean, we are actually all fans of MapMaker. It's like MapMaker had such a good impact on Brawl Stars when it was released, and there's loads of opportunities there. And it's very clear that our players want to create stuff and play stuff. And we're not happy with how it is today. I think the editor itself is fine. It's mostly like how you greenlight maps, for example. And of course, there could be much more functionality behind MapMaker. And yeah, in theory, we'd love to do that. But yeah, right now it's just ideas. And again, it's a big gamble for us to take if that has any positive impact on the game.
Yep. Right. Exactly. Yeah, we've also talked about Mode Maker. We're super excited about that. There's clearly something positive, and this was shown by a bunch of content creators, OJ included, which was that you could have really compelling user-generated content that can keep other players entertained for months. But and we certainly do not want to discount how important that is in a game like Brawl Stars, which is in a lot of ways a collection of games. And it's more that there's some other things that are kind of higher priority that we want to address first. And this comes down to ruthless prioritization. And so it is not currently sort of what we're actively working on. But the future is long.
Yeah. And another question from the same person. I think it's very interesting. Like, which feature would you like to bring from another game to Brawl, and why? Maybe just like one of us answer and we go to the next one.
That's such a good question, actually. Wait,
It's a great question.
Hold on.
I have one.
I have
Okay, you go. I'm talking too much.
You can go both. We
Okay,
can do
yeah,
like
it's fine.
5 minutes more.
I want to play Power League, but in duo. I want to play with 2 people, and you fill the third one.
Okay, but that's
That's what I want to do. That would be so cool.
from what game?
From a lot of games. Rocket League, as an example.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll be quick as well. I would like Apex or like League of Legends. They have these where you pick your role when you're going to play a match, and I think our look for a team, it doesn't do the job that it should. And I think those things like you get a support and then you play a support and then that's it. So like you can see like your team being formed as you go through the matchmaking. Right now it's like you have to wait and then you have to check is it the player I want to play with, and then you suggest a brawler and then like I don't want to play this brawler and like I just want to play a game. So like something like this, like an automated looking for a team.
You want better looking for a team.
Yes.
Actually, I do have a quick response as well, which
like
was
that.
if you think about Brawl Stars when it first started, a lot of people fell in the game because of the 3v3 format. We could do better at getting people to party up properly, and I think that would be very helpful. And some of the things that these two fine gentlemen have just mentioned also kind of illustrate the point that is trying to being made here, is I think we do a lot more to improve, partying up, whether that's with strangers or with friends, than we currently do.
Maybe
I
Frank
recently
and
did a
then
poll on
Kairos
my
is-
channel.
Yeah, Frank and
Majority of people play with randoms, and majority of
Yeah.
people do not like playing with randoms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's actually true, but the sentiment on my channel at least
Sure.
was.
It's like we asked this question at a point in a survey, and there was a surprising amount of people who wanted to play solo actually. So it's not like some people don't they just want to play a game and have fun. They don't want
Yeah.
to think about like finding
Sure.
people and making friends and all of that.
Sure.
But I do agree, like we can do a much better job with social in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
yeah.
think like even the club experience is not great.
Yeah.
Like you reach 900 trophies, you're placed in a club, because of how the underlying technology works. There's a good chance that you will be in a dead club.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
So like this, but again, like going back to this 3v3 thing, personally, and I think I'm not alone on this table at least, the best moments I've playing Brawl Stars is with two other people. And that's usually
100%.
Danny and Adrian, of course. And the three of us are
Is there a loving sound?
That's loving. I like that.
so the three of us when we play together, I think that's the most fun I have in Brawl.
Yeah.
So like how can we bring this to more people? That would be like
Yeah.
And how to encourage it in a natural way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I agree with
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
Like,
yeah.
I love the special events because I can grab two of my best friends that I actively like to play with.
Mhm.
But then Club League, I don't like being forced to play with random people because
Yeah, yeah.
scheduling doesn't always work out.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I'm in a club with people that might not align with my.
Sure.
Yeah, you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
I think
So-
we all feel the same way.
Yeah. So Kairos, what's your dream feature from another game?
Well, I'm currently playing a lot of old school RuneScape.
oh, okay.
Still, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, oh man, I'm loving it.
Oh,
and one
boy.
thing I love about the game is really difficult bosses. And I know that Brawl Stars is not a PvE game, but I loved even when Brawl Stars first released Robo Rumble and when they first released Boss Fight, that it was very hype then. And but they also released other ones like Super City Rampage that wasn't very hype, So I don't know, but if Brawl Stars could somehow incorporate really sweaty, fun PvE elements into the game in a balanced way so multiple brawlers could be viable, I would love that.
Would it have to be balanced to be fun?
No, yeah.
I think unbalanced is also fun as long as the boss fights are also unbalanced. I think maybe there's only but also I like variety. And so I would like lots of different really strong bosses. Maybe one clears swarms. And so you want to do heavy hitting damage dealers, and maybe one spawns swarms, so you have to do AoE damage. And like, I want lots of different types of things. You guys are game developers. You've played fantastic PvE games. You know exactly what I'm talking about. This isn't anything new, but
Yep.
that's what I would love. If that could be in Brawl Stars, oh, it would be awesome.
Makes
You might
sense.
have to develop a whole other game around it, though.
Yeah, I think maybe I don't know if I should say that or not, but like I think the PvE is highly inspired by roguelike games, right? So I think that's what we're trying to achieve. That's what we didn't achieve with our first concept. So I guess like even though like we didn't like remove it from our list, it's just like deprioritize.
Mhm.
But I think those concepts like a boss that is really hard to get, like progression that you like you get your brawler stronger, and then you have to fight this boss, and maybe my dream to have bullet hell moments where like you have to dodge, and maybe like you even make Mortis
Absolutely.
viable because it's so agile that like maybe if you like one boss you have to survive for 2 minutes, and then Mortis could be a good option, but something like that.
Wait,
Yeah.
Mortis is viable.
Yeah, I don't know what
Jesus
you're talking about.
Oh my god, let's not go there again.
How many total trophies you have, V? You don't have to answer that. I'm
Next
just joking.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is Lauro. He asked about the concepts from the concept artist, and I talked about that already. And also I talked to her, and she's up to being a podcast. So eventually
Cool.
she'll be here, and then she can talk about all the brawlers she makes. Appreciate Door, good name. That's one for Kairos because he
Oh.
said in the podcast with OJ. like one feature that it was going to go into the Star Road, and you said like because of your feedback it got removed, and you said it was a really bad feature.
Yes,
you can
and
freely
I don't know
talk
if it was a really awful feature, but the idea was that, like, as of right now, when you are unlocking a brawler, you can switch between your choice whenever you want, and you can do it at the beginning, you can do it at the very end, you can do it in the middle. At the time, there was discussion with the developer team, and they asked us for our feedback on this: is how would you feel if you couldn't switch, or how would you feel if you could only switch once, or how would you feel if you could spend gems to switch, or something like that. There was a lot of ideas being thrown around, and all of our feedback was just let everybody switch all the time. Don't mess with it, because otherwise there will be people as frustrated and upset. And I think that goes back to kind of what I said earlier, is that I love that you guys have plans for the future, because you are bringing some of these concepts to us, and we're not the end all be all. We're not developers, but we're really good at giving a gut check of how the audience would respond to stuff, because we're only focusing on player reaction. If people don't watch our videos, we know why most of the time, and so it's like, I don't know. But I like that. I thought it was fantastic that you guys brought that to us and shared it to us so we could share some feedback on it. And just to be clear, Supercell does not always share everything with us. We don't have sneak peeks months in advance. Most of the time, we don't know what's happening until the day before Brawl Talk gets released. But every now and then, when you guys are doing big changes like that, you do reach out to us, and we are involved with that. And that's really fun. I really appreciate that as a content creator and also a part of the community.
Yeah. Sometimes when the design is so complicated and there's so much debate as to whether something that we're trying to do should be done, the best decision is to not do it at all. And in this case, that applies. Where the simplest design actually worked, which was giving players the option to choose. And that's not always very clear until you get to hindsight. And so I'm really glad that we were able to come to this conclusion before reaching hindsight on this.
It would have been awful.
Yeah, and
the community would have been really upset,
But
and
also,
it would
like,
have been a lot of negative feedback over a great update, unfortunately.
yeah, that was my actually point when I mentioned, like, we have like this massive update, and it's beautiful how we managed to remove boxes and add this like streamlined progression, right? But if we have this thing, everything will be like blurred. Nobody will care about the whole thing we done. And then for context, like, on the other hand, the thing that is like we wanted to do that to cause some friction and then have like the players like, should I buy this brawler, and then we can monetize more, right? Which was
a concern. Monetization was a concern. You guys needed to protect the game's longevity, absolutely, and there was a valid reason behind it.
Yeah, and the thing is that, like, it's not that it's easily comparable to what we had before, because the system doesn't exist. Like, if there is a possibility to release like this, I don't know, friction or like something that it could change our numbers for the better, it's when we redo a whole system, right? Like, if we had now this change, it will be perceived so poorly. But if we had a moment to do that, it's when we are introducing the feature, and that's why we want like just do like a final check if we are insane or if it was a good call. Was good. Was it a good example that you have of the most perfect balanced brawler, like a brawler example? Like an example of like a really good balanced brawler that you're proud of. Do you have one? Maybe?
Absolutely.
Don't say Shelly.
I'm not saying Shelly.
I was going to say, if he says Meg right now.
I'm not saying Shelly. I think Buzz. Is a perfect example. He has a very clear principle on how he plays.
He was released mega broken.
No.
Now, okay.
Now. We're talking about now.
Okay.
Because he has a really easy principle of how he plays and how you should play against him and what you should avoid. He does one thing and one thing only, and it's what he wants to do, and it's what you have to avoid.
True.
And of course, if you don't know his mechanic, then you learn it, and then you learn how to play against it. But his whole existence revolves around his basically super or his gadget, so you have to just figure out how to play around it. And I think his numbers are good, and I would consider him one of the more balanced brawlers currently.
So Buzz has only ever received one balance change.
Yeah, I would say Buzz.
Ever, and it
Very
was a
good.
buff to his health.
I said Buzz. What did I say?
I was hearing about Buster for some reason.
No,
so
I said
Buzz.
ignore
Oh, yeah,
everything I said.
Buster.
He wasn't broken. He was perfect, fine.
I
And
said
he
Buzz.
was changing the meta without any balance, right? 'Cause,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yes.
It's just people
Yeah.
learning how to play
Yes.
against and
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be my personal pick.
yeah.
Cool. Next
Buzz.
question.
Yes. I failed. I heard Buster. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. Maybe
We forgive
no,
you.
I-
We
yeah, it
forgive
was
you,
my
Danny.
There's a lot of brawlers.
Yes.
There's a fair few.
Yeah. Are you planning on Sahaj? Don't forget the name. Are you planning on adding more depth to the Brawl Stars gameplay, like an ultimate or something? I can talk about that because I practiced with V. Yeah, what we haven't done in this year is like a big change to gameplay, right? And I think we want to have like as you Frank touched on that before, we don't want to have another gear moment where like we release something that is like more power for the brawler that is not doesn't feel exciting. It doesn't feel like you're progressing. So we want to like do a big shake on the gameplay side as we had with gadget and star powers. It's like I don't know the dates or anything, but it's something we're planning already that we want to add something to the gameplay.
We want to have a
Well,
cool
that's
gameplay
exciting.
moment.
Yeah.
The question is how, and how do you make it so that it's not overly complex? Because
Yes,
a lot of people
yes.
like the simplicity of Brawl Stars.
Yep.
Me personally, I want way more complexity, but I'm not necessarily the target audience. So
Yeah.
that's exciting to hear. At
Yeah.
least you're thinking about it.
Uh
A
huh.
lot of questions.
A lot
lot
of
of
questions.
Not a lot of answers.
It wasn't a good answer, right?
No. Not a lot of answers to solving the problem.
Alright.
Not that your response. Your response is great.
You're just digging me. I don't.
Your response is great.
Timo. Do you have plans to rework Club League? I guess we touched on that. Nobody in my club is using their Club League tickets, and as a
You should
president,
kick them.
as a president, I don't like forcing my members to play a feature that they don't
Wow.
like for a reward. They don't need what? They need this
I
reward.
don't know if they don't need that reward.
I
People
can let
do
you
not
next
recognize
out.
How
Spicy-
much progression you can
Yeah.
get
Spicy
from
take.
Club League.
Of course, if you're a club full of max
Yeah,
people,
Yeah,
fine.
sure.
But then then just don't play.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
But I guess like ultimately we are not happy.
Yeah.
no,
We're not
no,
happy
no, no,
yet.
no,
Yeah.
no. The
Absolutely
TLDRs we're
not.
not happy.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
So yeah, it's in the list. It's on the list. Bitowski, how do you see the state of? Oh, bro, this question I removed and you put it back in.
All right, you can skip it.
No, it's just because like it's so broad, right? I
It
don't
is.
know, like
It is.
how we just
You're
see
right.
Well,
like
maybe
the-
I can do a consensus based off of what we've had a conversation
Yeah.
here. You like where things are at the moment, but there's a long list of things you want to improve, and the only way you're going to be able to do that is with more time to develop.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
nice parenthesis.
Thank you, Kairos.
sort of thing. I'm not even on the team.
yeah, that's great.
Good. Dude thinks he's on the team.
Yeah.
Dude thinks he broke this.
Maybe I need to move to Helsinki.
KCT Dep. I want to ask if the Bling reward from Trophy League can be increased by chance. For me, I can get 244 Bling now after resetting 10 brawlers, while getting 2,000 Bling in Power League in one season. That's a pretty big gap, and I hope trophy pushing would be more rewarding.
I think we touched on that, like talking
Yeah,
about
the
we
distribution
talked
we
about
cannot
We did,
just
yeah.
we
Yeah.
cannot just give more.
everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah, something's got to give.
Yep.
yeah. Top shelf. How?
Better than bottom shelf. I
Usually.
prefer that name.
Positive.
Good. How does Kairos 100% honest review, so for you, Kairos, help the team develop the Brawl Stars? These videos are my favorite, and it's so nice to see that you guys actually listen to Kairos and the community.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much I can really say because I don't actually know. But I know that you guys do watch my 100% honest update review videos.
Yeah.
My question is, do you guys like sit around together and watch it and discuss it, or do you watch it as individuals? Or
We watch as individuals, but
We
then
do.
We
Yeah.
stop
then we're-
everything.
we're
Like
just-
Yeah, we stop.
Wait, he released a video.
Yeah. Stop what you're doing. No.
No. We like typically individually watch it, and then like the first one who sees it typically posts it in Slack,
Yeah.
and then we're discussing like we're trying not to spoil the score.
Yeah.
You say that, Frank, but you do it every time.
No.
I get a mess.
I put in a thread so like you can see without opening.
I've got a message from this guy, I think, twice. Kairos gave us this score. I'm like, come on, man.
It's like seeing a spoilers to a movie before you watch the
It's
movie.
so bad. Whatever.
Stay away
Yeah.
from the internet, man. If you don't want spoilers.
I will say, actually, I hope, I don't know if people will do it, but I really actually hope more content creators would do that type of stuff. Because then we get maybe a more broad picture,
Yes.
particularly if you have a different audience than someone like your audience here, because we actively go and seek out feedback from a wide swath of player types because we're trying to get to that. So yeah, it's just a call out for anybody who is interested in working on different videos. Those 100% honest reviews are actually really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you guys like it because I feel like I put a lot of work and time into making sure I say everything the correct way in a way that doesn't get misconstrued, and also hopefully in a way that doesn't hurt any of the developers' feelings, because that's one thing I never want to do. In fact, sometimes I'm really worried when the gear videos. I was so worried that I was just like hurting people's feelings because I did not like the way the gears were first released. But I really appreciate your guys' willingness to look at that content, and it also helps build a relationship with the audiences or with the viewers and the players as well, because typically I bring a lot of their feedback into it. Whether or not it's mine, I typically share everybody's opinion at least.
It's a nice, I think it's, those videos are a nice summary for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, again, like this, to be honest, there's no single source which can, like sway us in one way or another. It's typically like, we try to look at everything. We look at, of course, your videos, other videos from other content creators. We're looking at comments on social media.
Yeah.
We're looking at App Store reviews. We're looking at everything holistically and at data, right? Like, because if everyone is saying, oh, there's a horrible feature, but everyone is playing more and monetizes better, stays longer, then we're like, oh, well.
Yeah.
So it's like, sometimes it's like, I guess what some people sometimes don't understand is that this correlation between these two things is not always the same.
Yeah.
Just because you're happy or the community on the surface is happy doesn't mean the community is happy at large. And that is what data shows at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
It's like, vote with your pocket. That's what they say. And it's like, so we see immediately if something worked or didn't work based on that.
Yeah.
And also keep in mind that the vast majority of people do not use like social media and are active on
Yeah.
Yeah.
giving feedback.
I like to
on
pretend
social
that
media.
most
Yeah.
people watch my videos, but the truth is that they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, it's
And I
very
know that.
easy to just listen to and reach Reddit because it's right actively there
Yeah.
and it's alive and it's updating. But, there's a large percentage of people that will never speak their mind,
Yeah.
but they will play or not play based off of the content that is released.
Yeah.
And that is the hardest audience to measure, which is why we have data to help us.
Yep. Silent majority.
All right. But mark my words, we will get 10 one day.
Yeah.
It has happened, but not very often.
Let's see.
All right. Cute Rollo TV 27. I don't think many people are using the Kudos system since it gives nothing in return to players. How about giving some coins, tokens, blah, 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 like 5 coins or 2 tokens with a daily cap, maybe?
Maybe. It's
Yeah.
like,
We're not
it's-
perfectly happy with Kudos.
No.
I mean, certainly one of the goals of this is we're trying to encourage positive behavior in the
Yes.
game. There's a lot of toxicity. A lot of people like to thumbs down, emote, and do a bunch of other things that trigger other players, like spin around and do nothing, DC, just stay in a corner. And this was our first attempt at trying to chip away at that problem in a positive way. And we're certainly looking into ways to improve upon this. Also, it's not really well done from a UX standpoint today because it's kind of laggy to use. Meanwhile, a lot of people kind of skip the screen because we gave them that option. And, it's kind of one of those features we committed to but didn't kind of go all the way with it. And so we're looking to improve it for sure.
quite a bit of love
like
went
it,
into
though.
that feature.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Yeah,
but I think it's not achieving
the goal.
the goal.
Yeah, and then
It's nice though, because sometimes I'll just play a good match and somebody will give me a thumbs up, and every time I'm like, it makes me feel good. It makes me
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
happy
I mean,
inside.
we played
but it
Power-
does require another person to actively
Yeah.
go and do it, and so
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
control that, obviously.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
there's a few steps, a few like pretty low-hanging fruits there.
Yeah.
Like just making the UX better. Show that it's an actual button you can press.
Yeah.
That would be a good starting point before we think about rewards or anything like this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But again, like the three of us played a Club League match today, and actually someone upvoted, like from the enemy team as well,
Yeah.
because we gave him a big flame
Mhm.
because he dynamiked his way through. I don't know which mode we played.
Danny Mike.
It was
Yeah.
a heist map, and he
Heist.
destroyed everyone, like
Yeah.
18 kills or something. Like stupid, like crazy. Next question, please, because
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
running out of time.
Yeah.
Despite the
it is-
slogan.
is the last
No time to
question.
explain.
Yeah.
Wait.
yeah.
Well, we do have.
Yeah,
Wait.
yeah,
We
yeah,
do
it's
have time.
complicated.
Last question. Akirium. Since you guys made duos a thing, have the devs ever considered a 5v5? If so, how did you guys approach the concept? If not, why? I think 5v5 opens a lot, not to say it should replace 3v3. I just think it will be neat as some sort of seasonal things to liven things up.
I think we talked about 5v5 last time as well.
I don't remember.
I think we
think-
might have.
Did
I
we?
think we did. I think we
Okay.
did. And our answer was that it's
Yeah.
interesting in concept, and we're not against having a 5v5. But again, it's one of these things which it has an unclear outcome, and it's pretty complex to do despite what it looks like.
Mm.
You would have to redo some of the map logic. You would have to redo some of the UI in the interface. We don't allow 5 people to team up right now. Like there's like, oof.
Mhm.
So it's high complexity, high uncertainty what it does actually.
Mhm.
So it goes on the back burner.
Yeah.
All right, then that was the last question. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Kairos. How did you feel about being part of the
I thought this
Time
was fantastic. I
Cool.
really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. For those of you guys that are watching, you don't know this, but they're all doing this after their workday. And I just wanted to let everybody know that, they are really dedicated to you
They
guys.
are not
and
lazy.
You're not lazy. That's for sure. You don't always see how hard they work on it, and it's very much appreciated. So thank you for having me. This was fantastic.
Thanks
you for
being here with
joining.
us.
And there's second thing, like also like beside us, there's a huge crew behind here
Yeah.
making these
Yes.
things happen. So
I
thank you.
can see them in the
lot.
background. I've been
Thank you
counting
for
them.
staying
So
later than
not just for
usual.
people working
Appreciate
after
it.
work, but additionally crew helping out
Nice.
with this.
All
Nice
right,
touch, Danny.
that's it. Goodbye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye.
The time to explain is over.
Yeah.